Good afternoon. I am Savva from Savva Talk Spurs. This is Graham from Graham Talk Spurs. How are you, Graham?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Yes, a bit warm on this lovely hot day.
Are you happy that you just read a comment that said, the return of the king, very nice to see you, Graham?
Well, it's nice to know, Luan, that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, very worrying.
If you said Return of the Queen, I'd have been more worried. But
very worrying. He's going to be talking about that for days on end. If you are in the chat, welcome. A nice Friday afternoon. It's nice and sunny. So if you are watching us, thank you very much. This is the show where we will take any questions that you have. This isn't a show full of agendas. This isn't a show where we're going to talk to you about 1,000,001 different things that we've written down. We will take your questions and we will run with it and take it from there. If you want to get any questions into Graham, please put them into the chat. Graham supported Spurs for going on 60 odd years now. So he knows he knows his stuff. He's seen us win league titles. So without further ado, Graham, it's great that the season is back. Are you happy?
Yes, happy. Yeah, always good to see the season back. The summer seems very short, doesn't it, when you're back straight away? But yeah, it's good. It's good. Roll on the next one.
Yeah, and Southampton home. Did you expect anything but a steamrolling?
No, exactly what I thought, really. I thought 3-0, 4-1. I think that no disrespect to them. Get me words out. No disrespect to them, but I think they'll be down amongst the bottom teams. He looks a dead man walking, the manager, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It's one of those squads you look at and you just think, have they strengthened enough?
Well,
I just don't think they have.
They haven't bought anybody. I can't understand what they're doing.
No. Okay, look. Good to see Spurs scoring 4 goals as well, and Kane and Son didn't score one of them.
That's good in a lot of ways, isn't it? We're not relying totally on those two. The odds on the goal scorers were doing quite interesting, weren't they, on Saturday, really? They're going in from all over the place, plus the Oggy as well. But no, it doesn't matter how they go in, as long as they go in. And I think if we over-rely on Kane and Son, which, let's be fair, we have over quite a few years now, haven't we? They've held us up there, really. It's good, I think. Other people are scoring goals.
Yeah. Absolutely. So listen, while Graham and I are talking for a few minutes, get some questions in. If I don't read them out immediately, I will be saving them in the background. So please do not be offended. Equally, please smash that like button. That was nearly a sentence. Please smash that like button. It really is appreciated. And also, if anybody did want to put in a super chat, as always, 50% of the money does go to the British Heart Foundation. Graham, let me talk to you then about the performance last weekend. Sessegnon getting on the score sheet. What did you think of his performance?
Well, yeah, I'm not his greatest fan, but scored a good goal. Apparently, Perisic had told him before the game that their fullback is very small, therefore get on the back post. He isn't the biggest, is he? So, yeah, it was a good header. I mean, he was about 4 yards out? But, I mean, I'm hoping that Perisic will play there, really. I'm still not convinced, really, with him, but good luck to him. He scored a goal. Good luck to him.
Just quickly, Luan, I am not doing a watch-along for Spurs-Chelsea on Sunday. The reason being is I will be getting back on Sunday afternoon from my stag do. I'm leaving tonight and I'll be back Sunday, so I don't expect to be in any sort of shape to be streaming, to be doing any Tottenham videos. This will be my last Tottenham streaming until Monday night, possibly Sunday night on the Spurs Corner. Monday night, I have the man, the myth, the legend. I do have Steve Perryman on my show. So it'll be me talking to Steve Perryman. Just quickly, Graham, what can you tell us about Steve Perryman?
Tremendous player. Yeah, effortless is a word I'd say about him. I mean, he wasn't the biggest, was he? Quite a small guy, really. But just quality on the ball, just always looked very relaxed, plenty of time on the ball.
Yeah.
Bob, I mean, none of you probably remember Bobby Moore, but Bobby Moore was like that. Never looked flustered, just had plenty of time. And Perryman the same, decent guy as well. I was with you before when we interviewed.
Yeah, really nice guy.
I feel like the warm-up act today, really. The warm-up act before Monday.
I'm just trying to get as many old people on the show before they pass away.
Well,
I mean, that's all I'm doing.
Absolutely.
I didn't mean that.
I don't know if he's older than me, is he? I mean,
I think he is.
I'm 42. What, is he older than me? Round the waist.
42. I was about to make that joke.
Round the chest.
Mark Mabbott Cousins, whose favourite player is Gary Mabbott. Mark, hello to you. He has said, Savva Graham, how many more players do you think will sign? Graham, I'll let you take this. How many players?
Oh, gosh, it's a very good guess, that is. I think we'll sign 2 more. I'd like to sign more, but that's me being greedy. But I think we will sign 2 more. I think what he's doing at the moment is clearing all the outs, getting rid of them by the look of it. I mean, Lo Celso and Ndombele, with Winks and Reguilon as well. If you can get rid of those out, now whether it's creating money for, you never know with Levy, do you? What's going on? But I would like to see 2 more come in, certainly at least, yeah.
Okay, and this next post, Ndombele in talks with Napoli. I mean, look at the smile that has come over my face, Graham. Lo Celso has gone to Villarreal as well. Talk to me about these 2, Graham, because I remember 2.5, 3 years ago, you and I doing shows like this, and we were told, remember, Graham, it was, you 2 don't know
ballers.
You don't know about ballers, great players. What's happened, Graham? Talk to me about these 2.
If you remember, before Ndombele signed, we went on YouTube, didn't we? Shouldn't say that, really, should we? And we just looked him up like you would any player. And we thought, blimey, yeah, he's got some good... I mean, he did very well against Man City, didn't he, for Lyon? I don't know what's happened to him, really. He looks incredibly... I don't suppose any of you remember Clyde Best when he used to play for West Ham. Great big striker, lumbering along. And he just doesn't look fit to me. But no balance. I don't know what's gone wrong with him, really. Whether he thinks he's arrived, he's got a massive great wage packet. Whether he thinks he's arrived, but he's been very, very disappointing. And I can't think of anybody who could justify keeping him on and playing him. The other guy can't run, can't get away from players. You see, either you've got to be tricky on the ball and you can nick the ball away from people, or your actual short pace, little distance pace gets you away from people. And I'm afraid he's got neither. Possibly you could say he was skillful, but his output, I mean, how many assists, how many goals? You can only judge him by that. Both lists will be very small, I'm afraid. Absolutely. So get rid of them both. Poor recruitment in hindsight, isn't it, really? We're scraping. We can't get rid of them. We're getting rid of them on loan. I don't know what Ndombele's deal is.
Well, we're going to come to that in a second. There was a question about that, so hold that thought. Alan has said, do you both think we'll beat Chelsea? Our record isn't great at their place, but I'm optimistic. Graham, Chelsea? Away?
Well, I think if you're going to play them at any time, this would be the time to play them because they're not really organised in their squad at the moment. He's still looking to sign players. There's been a few ins and outs, isn't there? I mean, no one could sit here now and predict what their 11 is going to be. So I think we look a bit more settled, you'd say. And you never know. I mean, Kane clicks, Son clicks, I think it could go any way on Sunday. You couldn't sit here and say, oh, Chelsea will beat us. And nor you could say the other way around. I think it's going to be a very close game.
Me too.
And I think it will be very end to end. And it's just on your finishing it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we're going to go through some of the chat. What I will do is I will put the StreamYard link into the chat. What I will do today, though, is I do not want 6 or 7 people on at any one time. Everyone just talks over everyone else, and it gets a bit crazy. What we will do is if anyone does want to come in, what we will do is we'll bring them in one by one. Say your point, say what you want to talk about. Graham and I will talk about that with you, and then I will kick you off in the nicest possible way.
We can outnumber you then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not 7 people having a go.
Absolutely. So I'm going to put that in a minute, okay? But we're just going to get 15 minutes in. But please, if you are, camera must be on. Please be somewhere quiet. If you are outside, I will not let you in because it's just so noisy and people can't hear. Bigging up to the one and only, well, I say the one and only Kuva, but he's the 99th of the Kuvas. Big up Savva Graham. Does it feel like the transfer window was split? Players Conte wanted at first, then all of the ones for the future for the remainder. He's got a point, Graham, hasn't he?
Well, I think, yeah, he's got... Obviously, we're not used to having signings at the beginning. And it's sort of made everything look fantastic, isn't it, by getting the signings done early on. He's going to bring 1 or 2 players in that he can make a profit on. He hasn't done very well at that, to be fair, over the last few years, has he? I mean, when was the last player we actually sold and made a good profit on that we bought in? So if you're going to bring somebody in on loan who's young, Bring somebody in who's good, who's got talent, who's got ability.
Yeah.
Don't bring an average. I mean, we don't want to go through these players who are like Brian Gill and people like that, but they're not good. They're never going to give you sell-on value. I mean, I'd like to be proved wrong, but I can't see it.
We'll come to Eddie Ryan's question in a minute. Yeah. Ditcher, I agree with you. He said it seems like we'll sign nobody else. I think we will sign somebody else, but his last point I agree with. We can't sell players, Graham. I mean, Ndombele, will that be a loan? Hill is a loan. Lo Celso's a loan. Rodon's going to be a loan. Tanganga possibly a loan. I mean, it shows how bad our recruitment has been, Graham.
The trouble is, absolutely dreadful recruitment. The trouble is, Levy will want to get good fees off all of them. So say Lo Celso. I mean, we don't know it, but I would imagine Levy's probably said, I want 25 million, nothing less than that. Now, these clubs are not going to pay that money for him. So the next best thing, loan. I assume all his wages is paid by the club, is it? Or
that could be, we don't know at the moment. We don't know. It could be split. But what's more worrying for me, Graham, is it's taken us all summer to get this loan deal done.
Unbelievable.
Right? And there's not even an obligation to buy. It's an option to buy. So why has it taken 3 months to get this loan deal done?
You could have moved house quicker.
I did move house quicker.
You literally could have got it all going and you moved into your new house.
If you remember when I moved into this house, Graham, last year, I looked at it at the end of September and I was moved in by mid-December.
I don't understand why it takes so long. Other clubs seem to do deals and it boom, boom, done, isn't it? But we drag it out. I mean, what on earth's been going on with us? We've known from the word go that we want him out. We want him out the club. Why is it time? Then he's only on loan. He couldn't even agree a fee with anybody in the world. I mean, there must be somebody in the whole wide world who would want to pay money for him, surely.
Eddie Ryan has asked you a question. He said, Graham, do you think the modern footballer could play in the icy pitches when they used to play with the yellow balls because of the snow?
Very good question. Very, very good question. I mean, I remember watching a game at Southampton against Man U, and there wasn't a blade of grass on it. I think it was Mike Chan, and he was brilliant, running through the mud. I think a lot of them would struggle, to be honest. I mean, remember the old yellow ball? Yes, I do remember it. The pitches were shocking. I remember going to Wolves once or Coventry, and apart from right out by the corner flag, there were 4 little bits of green. The rest was brown. Now, whether they could, with their lovely, colourful boots now, whether they could
and the fact that they fall over when they're blown on.
The ball used to be heavy. I don't know it's not as heavy as it used to be with that old lace in it. I'm going back a long time now.
Yeah.
Stanley Matthews days. No, I think it wouldn't be easier, obviously, because now they glide across this lovely grass, this billiard table. It's going to be much easier to do, isn't it?
I'll tell you what else is easy to do, Graham, is to press the like button. There are 78 of you in the chat and only 27 likes. Press that like button. Holly Agomba has got her own channel. Go and support if you haven't. Hello, Holly. Up the Spurs, she has said. Holly, I'm your way later. I'm in Southampton for the weekend. I think you were around there. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure you were around that way, but I am there for my stag do. So if you see a bunch of idiots, probably me and my friends. I'm going to group these next questions in together, Graham. So Aditya has said, Savva, do you think fans gassed up Don too much, i.e. Paratici? He can't sell Deadwood. Bill, on the back of that, has said, the Paratici love from grown men is a bit weird. I mean, I agree. I saw today, Graham, someone had ordered the new Spurs shirt, the third kit, and on the back have had Don Paratici. I don't understand that. I mean,
well, I would say absolutely ridiculous.
Madness, isn't it?
We start putting the chief scout or whatever he is on the back of the shirt. My God, we're putting the cleaners lady on next. But no, I mean, if you look back at something, Romero, Kulusevski, Bentancur have been with good signings. I think Perisic, Basuma. I think the level has gone up without a shadow of a doubt. And we don't know how he's restricted himself, do we? I mean, no doubt about it, Levy still calls all the shots. There's no way that he'd be left to get on with it and Levy just go on holiday. I mean, that's ridiculous to suggest that. So he's probably working within a constriction, really. So we'll have to see. But I wouldn't go mad about him. I mean, have we brought anybody in who'd say, "Cool, he's fantastic"?
I think other than Perisic, I don't look at any of the others and go, wow, what a window. Now, the thing is, It's really difficult, Graham, because I'm thought of across the Spurs community as negative. Right now, I've had this for years, Graham. You know this, right? You're in my life. You know this. And I remember 3 years ago when I was getting dogs abuse because I said Ndombele and Lo Celso weren't very good. I said that Bergwijn wouldn't make it, that Rodon and Tanganga aren't good enough, that Reguilon would go. And I remember being told, these are all great players. You don't know football. You're negative. Same thing last year. Said the same thing about Royal, Hill, Sarr. Lots and lots of different players. Nico, I can see you in the background. I'm going to get you in a second, my friend. Lots of different people saying that. And again, this window, I'm not saying it's not been a good window, Graham. I think it has been a good window. Yeah. But all I've said all summer is the fact that we've got Champions League, Conte, Kane and Son in their peak. You've got the stadium, you've got the training ground. Is now the time, Graham, where we should have shown that little bit of that little bit extra and really put some fear in the top teams?
Well, I would have thought so, but clearly we haven't. But we'll have to see on that one. I just don't know, really. We're always looking for more, aren't you, as a football supporter? And looking back on some of those players, I mean, we've been proved right, haven't we?
We have.
Not been big-headed. We don't want to brag about it, but we have been proved right.
We have. Nico, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thank you. Great to be on your show, finally.
Nico, the first thing I'm going to say to you, where on earth has your hair and beard gone?
Yeah, it was too much. It took over my head. So I
was thinking that can't be Nico who I speak to on Instagram. That can't be. And it is. How are you? Well, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Good. What did you want to bring up with me and Graham? Because we're going to do a 1-in, 1-out system today. Yeah. So what did you want to bring up, my friend?
I'm just going to say that I think everything is like it's always been. It's just another wrapping, I would say, because as you mentioned a couple of days ago, Chelsea are now signing players, big players. They're waiting, and everybody needs a great centre back, and I think they will pounce for these players. I think it's just the same. We did business early, but the big clubs, the status quo is exactly the same. I think as it's always been. I don't see any.
Nico, let me ask you then. So, in your opinion, why do you think there is this unusually confident kind of wave of optimism that's sweeping across Tottenham fans now? Because, like you, I think it's been the window's been good, right? But nothing that makes me go, "Oh my God, it's amazing." So, why do you think some people are getting carried away?
Well, it's a Levy masterclass. He's a very smart businessman, and he has this way with words. He uses the right kind of words to give hope. The key word is hope, right? Always right. with Tottenham fans. So, we look very fit, like under Pochettino. We have Conte, but the structure is basically exactly the same. So, I don't see. We have to buy a player that usually goes to Chelsea, to City, or like we have to change the status quo. We have the money, but we don't have the balls and the ambition at the club to do it. So it has to be like the Milenkovic-Savic or something, like a really, really big player, I think.
So let me bring in Graham then. So like Nico's point, it is business as usual. The difference being this window that rather than waiting until August to make all our signings, we kind of made them all back in June and July. Yeah. Graham, have we seen a shift in behaviour from Daniel Levy, from the club, or are we all getting carried away just by the timing of when we bought the players?
Well, it'd be interesting to see when we get to the end of the window how it balances out of money in, money out. I mean, all this 150 million at the beginning, I don't know what that got everybody excited. I mean, obviously doing it at the beginning, it makes you wonder whether that was done. I think it was done mainly for Conte, because Conte did say that when he started the tour, he wanted his squad in place. So on the one hand, I think that was one reason. I mean, I don't want it to end up like a damp squib, and it sort of fizzle out now to the end. because I'd like to see, personally, a couple of more signings. I'd certainly like to see a big signing, but I don't think there's any chance of that. No, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, really, won't we? It's how many of those new signings are going to, start the games, and also, I mean, you're going to look at the goalkeeper, Spence. 2 of those 6 you won't see, I don't think. I don't think Spence will play that much. So I think Perisic certainly a good signing, very good signing, Basuma. So he's made some good signings, but whether he'd have done that at the end, when he's left it to the end, we end up with people like Sissoko, don't we? This is the problem. They leave it to the end to try and get the value of the player down, and then you end up getting a big panic on the last day, and you end up getting somebody you didn't want in the first place.
Yeah. Nico, did you want to say anything before I rotate without being rude?
Yeah, well, just why can't we buy a big player? What's the excuse? That's my only question.
I think Daniel Levy, isn't it? Really, they just won't put the money, the big money. Like if you've got an owner that's really on board all the time, and he's overall in charge of it and close to it. I think they're the ones who put the money in. But he's far away, isn't he, Lewis? You never see
Todd Bowley.
Him. Yeah,
Todd Bowley at Chelsea has just come in and is going 60 million here, 70 million there, and our fans will go oil money. But
that's what we needed to do. That's what we need to do to be up there with the Liverpool Man Cities. Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay, Nico, my man. Listen, much love. I'll speak to you on Instagram. I'm going to kick you off, but in the politest possible way.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nico. Speak to you soon. Mark, how are you, sir? How are you?
Very well, Savva. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. I'm really
Graham.
good. Welcome
And
to the
Graham,
show.
sorry.
Yeah, Graham's here as well. Look, this guy
Hello,
here.
Mark. Good name. The Mabbott name.
Yes.
Can't beat it.
I just wanted to come on to explain why.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
I did put it in the comments. It was March 1991, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. In May, you know what happened?
I do.
And I was still struggling to come to terms with it, live with it and whatever. And if you watch the BBC footage from back then, as Gary's going upstairs at Wembley to get the cup, he says, he's battled against diabetes all his life. And I looked at it and I thought, well, if he can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
And that is what he is and always will be my hero.
And a fantastic player as well, right, Mark?
Combative, wasn't he? Strong, very good player.
I'll be honest with you.
Not much went by him.
I'll be honest with you. Like when I was a kid, obviously Glenn Hoddle was my hero.
Yeah.
And then around the time when we won the cup, Gaz was my hero. But then when I was in hospital, when I got ill, all of a sudden Gary Mabbott was my hero.
Yeah.
And I actually met him as well. And what a lovely man. Yeah, what a lovely man.
Well, I've got a question for you. Was Mabbott as good as Eric Dyer?
Oh, he's better than him. Gordon Bennett.
And do you know what, Mark? This is where I feel sorry for some of the younger fans when they talk to some of the whatever your age, right? Whatever your age, when talk to some of the older fans that have seen players like Richard Gough, Gary Mabbott, even Neil Ruddock, players like that, and you get fans saying now, Eric Dyer's a really good centre back, and I think, you've not seen really good centre backs before, have you? Because just not a patch on those players, were they?
No, definitely not.
You didn't have three defenders in those days. You didn't have 3 central defenders.
Yeah. Even someone like Graham Roberts, hard as nails.
Yeah.
Hard as absolute nails. He'd run for a wall.
But they were proper defenders, weren't they? They were proper defenders who won the ball, were combative, not much went by them. Mm-hmm. And now you see, having 3 at the back, you've got that luxury of having 3 there, and it makes their job a bit easier. When you've just got 2 at the back, you've got a lot to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That, I mean, that's why Eric Dyer looks so good these days, because he's got 2 others there to help him out.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Mark, I'm going to be controversial. So I don't think he does look that good. I know most of the Spurs fan base seem to really like him. I look at Dyer now and still think I see exactly what I saw in the years gone by. The difference is I see him alongside a top quality defender like Christian Romero. But I see Dyer not good in the air. He's terrible in the air. His positioning is awful, and he turns his back when shots are being taken.
Yeah.
And for me, that's criminal. That's absolutely criminal. So people can call me negative, whatever they want. I want a lot better than Eric Dyer at centre half.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, someone like Gary Mabbott or Graham Roberts, they just took it in the plums and got up and got on with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't do that now. Just before I let you go, Mark, so I'm going to do one in, one out. Talk to me. What's your look, one game in, so I feel a bit bad saying this, but what's your prediction for where Spurs will finish in the league this year?
Right. Now, we all want a trophy.
Right,
definitely. I mean, was it 14 years? I grew up.
It'll be 15 years in May.
Yeah. Well, I can remember 81. I can remember 82. I can remember 84. You know, that was glorious times. Like when I was at school, everyone was Liverpool fans because Liverpool won everything.
Yeah.
I was about the only Spurs fan in my year. You know, so, you know, just anything. Well, I say anything. I'd like an FA Cup. Something major, because to be honest, would you sacrifice the top four for an FA Cup? That's always what people ask, right? Yeah.
Or has it got to be top four and an FA Cup?
Yeah.
See, it's
the finance, isn't it? You know,
I know it's only been 1 week. It's only been 1 week, and we can't get carried away and all this stuff. But you know, I mean, from what I've seen so far, top four is almost guaranteed, isn't it? I would have thought so, you know.
I like to think so.
I mean, if you listen to half our fan base, we're winning the league, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup.
At least
we do get carried away. But look, Mark, I am going to let you go. I'm not being horrible. I'm just trying to give everyone a few minutes. Lovely to see you. Thank you for your support on the channel as well.
Cheers,
Chat soon, mate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We're going to bring on my man, the Jamaican Spur. How are you?
What's up, Savva?
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, can't complain. It's a beautiful day, you know.
Good. Whereabouts are you?
Huh?
Whereabouts are you in the world?
Oh, I'm in San Antonio, Texas. You know?
Oh, nice. What's the time there?
It's what, 10:30 in the morning?
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Absolutely lovely. What did you want to just, because I'm doing a one in, one out. What point did you want to make for Graham and I and for you to discuss?
I'm just here to just jump on, you know, show my support, you know. I'm just waiting for that game on Sunday to see what's really gonna happen, because if we look at that game Sunday, we should be going there pumped. You know what I mean? Chelsea.
Let me ask you then, do you think, Graham alluded to it earlier, he said that this is a good time to go and play Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's a good time to play anyone. Do you believe that?
Well, it is, and it isn't, because it's Stamford Bridge.
Right.
You know,
right.
Hoodoos are a real thing, you know. We're City's bogey team for some reason, and there's no way we should be beating City, you know what I mean? Or the class between the two teams is crazy, but now they've down tools a little bit. Maybe this year, when we should beat them or should have a better chance, we don't beat them. So this first team is just, there's so many things to talk about. But yeah, I hope we get a win on Sunday, you know. Just for the fans.
Let me ask you a question then. If we do lose to Chelsea, will it, I mean, it's catch-22, win that game. And I think some of our fans, their expectations through this season are going to go through the roof. Yeah. Lose that game, and will it bring a few people back to earth with a bump?
Well, as deluded as they are, they'll just tell you, well, they're a bogey team. We're supposed to lose. That's what they're gonna say, you know. But man, it's crazy because if we can't beat Chelsea in this stage at this point, when we should be looking forward, not saying we're happy with the transfer window or anything like that, but the form we're in, all this talk about Conte and what he's doing, and he coming out today. I heard him say today that they're not gonna make any stupid decisions. They're gonna sign players that fit what he wants. I'm guessing that's that stamina, players with stamina and stuff like that, that can run up and down the field and give him energy. But we'll see, man. It's gonna be a test because as much as some of our fans are laughing at Chelsea, Chelsea is looking. They're making moves. They're replacing players that to them weren't good enough. So they're improving in some areas. You know what I mean? It's just that attacking threat. And I tell people all the time, 11 players play football. You don't have to have a guy that scores 100 goals a season. There are
Yep.
11 players on the field. As you noticed last week, Kane and Son didn't even score a goal. You know, it was people who we didn't even expect to score. Dyer, Sestang, and that. Those are guys that we don't even want in the team, and they're the guys that scored. So you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
just wish them all the best. You know what I mean? And yeah, looking forward to it. You know, hopefully this season it's not so much pain for us. You know, we're trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it never seems to be coming for us. So as Spurs fans, we just gotta hope and pray. But thanks for having me
Listen,
on, guys, and take care.
listen. We'll see you next week. All right. You take care. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. So I have put the link in the chat. If you would like to come on, we will do it one by one. Graham, some of the points that we just heard there is that it's a normal window for Spurs, but just flipped. So buying the players early rather than late. Questions as to why we can't buy better players. As the Jamaican Spur mentioned there, that Conte saying we can't be stupid in the market, but what does that mean? Because top clubs, they go out and buy top players. What does the word stupid mean? What does he mean by that?
Well, I suppose paying stupid money for players like 70, 80 millions and things like that, which we won't do, obviously. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, really? Because it has been done early on, which suggests that it will just tail off at the end. He doesn't want to bring people in who are obviously not going to do the job for him. I think we've had too many players at Spurs who really didn't fit the bill. He's carrying lots and lots of passengers. I don't think he could believe it when he came in. I don't think Mourinho was the same. They couldn't believe how poor the squad was.
Yeah.
Is, you know. And we all said it, didn't we? We said what a poor squad it is, which relies on 4 or 5 players to do everything. Now he's hoping he's brought a few better ones in. How much of them are his signings?
Sorry, just really quickly. Sorry, I've seen a comment I need us to talk about.
Okay.
Vag Maniac has said he means don't do the same as Barcelona, for example. Now, the reason I can't get on board with that as the reasoning is Barcelona are historically in trouble. Like this isn't a new thing this season. No. They've been in trouble for years. Spurs going out and signing a player for 60, 70 million, we could do like that. We've got the money. We've got revenue coming in for fun to the stadium, Champions League money, player sales going out, the money that the club can inject into the club. I don't buy that that's the reason, Graham, why we can't go and buy better players than the likes of Jed Spence.
Levy has always wanted success on a limited budget. You know, he's hoping the manager, i.e. Pochettino, Mourinho, Conte, he's hoping by not spending that much, these managers can get us over the line through good management. And then typical sort of CEOs, they would then turn around and say, well, you haven't done the job. Look, like with Poch, 14th in the league, gone out. That's how they operate. That's how they work.
Yep.
You know.
Big up to Football Ferreira. Hello, mate. Hope you are well. He said, big up to you all, great people. Keep up the great work, Savva. Always great shows. Thank you. I'm liking your new picture as well. But you look younger and better looking than me in your picture than I do in mine. So it's slightly upsetting. But that's what happens with age. Yeah. Faz, Mark, I can see, Mark, I'll bring you on for a question in a minute. Faz has said, for the sake of argument, if we beat Chelsea convincingly, how would you rate Spurs' chances this season? 4th still. Now, I'll take this one first.
Go for it, yeah.
So Faz is, Faz, first of all, is a player, someone that doesn't think Cucurella to Chelsea is a very good signing, which baffles me. But anyway, Faz, let me tell you this. I am not knee-jerk. This is the difference between me and a lot of Spurs fans. If we beat Chelsea convincingly, or if we lose convincingly to Chelsea, I still think the season will end up with us finishing 4th. I'm not going to change my prediction based on one game because I don't believe. Oh, I've got a feeling my Ring doorbell's about to do something. I don't believe that that one game changes the course of the season.
No.
What do you think, Graham?
No, definitely not. Yeah, I mean, if we were to win Sunday, it'd just be a good morale booster, wouldn't it? It will give the players lots and lots of confidence. With Wolves at home next week, hopefully win that one, and suddenly you've got nine points on the chalkboard. And that goes a long way. Get off to a good start and get points on the board is what we're looking for. You make a sluggish start, you're playing catch-up all the time. No, I mean, whatever the result is Sunday, I think will have little or no bearing on where it ends up. But what it will do is give the Spurs players the confidence that they can beat the Chelseas. And as I said earlier, I think there won't be a better time to play them.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring in Mark. Mark, can you hear me? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Welcome back to the show. We're just doing a one in, one out today. So what was the point or the question you wanted to bring up with myself and Graham?
I was just thinking, like, because I've heard like a lot of the chats and stuff of after we beat Southampton, and I do actually want to kind of ask, like, where do you believe honestly that Conte can take this team what he's got?
I've got every confidence in Conte. I think he's a driving, a bit like a clock, really. He drives and gets the maximum amount of players, and that's going to make a big difference. I think if anybody could get us above 4th, Conte could, because I think he's got that manner about him. I think he can push a player. He can get much more out of a player. Sorry, got someone at the door. I've got every confidence in him. I think if anybody can do it, Conte can do it. Now, whether we've got over all those games, 38 games, Champions League, whether we can do it over all those games remains to be seen. But certainly I think Sunday's match, if we were to win it, will give us a tremendous morale boost. And who knows what we can do after that. Once he gets on a roll, I think basically keeping the front three fit, keeping the top, Son and Kane, is going to be the massive key to the season. The more games we play, the more chance we have got of finishing above 4th. I mean, I'll take 4th because it gives you Champions League and it brings in a lot of finance like it did last year. We all like to be higher than that, but I've got every confidence in Conte. If anybody can do it, I think he can. Yeah,
I mean, from my point of view, and apologies, always when I'm about to stream, somebody decides they're going to ring my doorbell and the dogs go absolutely. Mark, look, listen, just quickly, just before I let you go, for me, I think, I keep saying this to everyone, Conte is never, ever my issue. I have no doubts about Conte's ability to manage, Conte's ability to get the best out of players. I am a believer that only gets you so far. I am a believer that the reason the top clubs win things is because whilst they've got great managers, they've also got great players all over the pitch. And I don't see too many teams that will win a league, let's just say win a league, because they've got a great manager. I think you've got to have both.
And they've got quality backup players as well, which is important. Liverpool can lose 2 or 3 and bring in 2 or 3 gun players. Now, we haven't been able to do that.
But as you said that, though, because I watched a part of the Liverpool game, and I can't remember who they took off, but they brought on we're saying that, but they brought on Elliot, right? Mm-hmm. Elliot is just a homegrown player. Now, I was thinking, and that's what Conte does a lot. He actually brings on quite a lot of youth, homegrown players, and I'm like, so can we get to that sort of level where everybody in that squad, including the youth, etc., whoever comes in, that's all? I think that's all it takes, is that they buy into what he wants. Because you bring in a young player like Elliot. No one, I don't know him, you don't know, everyone don't know. Yeah, it's good, great young player. But as soon as he comes on, he plays exactly how he wants to. Now, that's what I think with having a manager like Conte, what he can do.
I agree. I think when we look at Elliott as an example, I think Elliott's been in and around that Liverpool team now for the last 2 years. So whilst he's a young player, if it wasn't for, I think he got a really bad injury, I want to say last year at Leeds.
Did he broke his ankle?
Yeah, he broke something.
I remember the game.
But I think that for me, the difference is that Liverpool's depth in every other area. Like if they lose a centre half, they're not bringing in Davinson Sanchez type quality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not bringing in Tanganga and Sanchez and Emerson Royal. They're bringing in the likes of Konate. Do you know what I mean? So I get it. I also feel that none of our youngsters are as good as Harvey Elliott.
That's another big problem, isn't it? Our youth system, getting players through the youth system into the first team squad really has been very, very poor, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is what scares me. That's exactly what scares me a little bit. Is like we've got all these young players. We've got like Matassar, etc., Hill, etc. And what I've noticed, and like people are going on about, oh yeah, you know, almost as if Chelsea's a done deal. I don't think so personally, but when you look at like someone like Chelsea and the Liverpools and that, what they do with their youth, they always seem to send them to like definitely a higher championship club or even a Premier League club, you know, a little bit of a lower Premier League club. We never seem to do that we seem to send them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And to like for instance, like a Brian Hill, why on earth would you send him back to Valencia when he came back from Valencia and he's still not cutting it? I don't get it. That's what scares me about Spurs. We seem to have lost the ability to do what those top clubs do and really develop them, get them used to.
Isn't that a signal of how good are they? If you know, for example, when you look at Troy Parrott now, who's what, 20, 21, the fact that the best club we can send him to is Preston North End. No offense to any Preston fans out there in the world. That tells me how far off the pace he is from being a first team player. Brian Hill, I agree with you. For me, it makes no sense him going back to the Spanish league. I feel like if he has got plans to keep him in the future, that loan needs to be to a Nottingham Forest.
He needs exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
But Mark, listen, I am going to let you go because I'm going to bring Cooper on. But much love.
No worries.
I will see you next week.
Yeah, enough love, man. See you soon.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
The one, the only Kuva with his real beard. How are you, my friend?
Big up, lads. Doing well, except for the heat. Heat's a bit uncomfortable again for my liking, but otherwise good. Loving the show as ever, mate. I like the fact you're doing some call-ins now. Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a few weeks, and sometimes I let too many on at once, and it's just a bit of a mishmash. But I think one in, one out is lovely. And always got sort of like Graham Norton style. This one, isn't it?
If only I had the red chair.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'll take one for the team.
Just before I come to you, Kuva, I have had a super chat. So thank you very much to Kafkov Gaming, who has shouted at us and said, if we win, we should. If we lose, we always do anyway. I mean,
fair enough. Sums it up.
Great. I agree with you. Yes. Thank you very much for that, Kafkov. I really appreciate the super chat as well. Kuva, you're always level-headed, apart from when you tell me we're going to win a quadruple. On a serious note, where are we? You know, we've got a couple of weeks of the window left. It's been maybe a month now since you and I did a show saying, okay, but there's still time to get a right wing back and a centre back and a creative midfielder. We're still at the same position. We still can't sell any of our deadwood. Are you confident? Where's your head at?
Yeah, quadruples on, definitely. See you next week, mate. Yeah,
I look forward to it.
Yeah, this is part of the bigger picture for me, which is always, what is this club of ours? Are we an elite sports team or aren't we? Is this club worth $4.5 billion that Levy seems to think it is? Because if it is, why are we accepting anything less than competing for every single trophy that we're put in for? That is what an elite sports team does. The fact that it's difficult, what does that matter? You still get in for it. You give it everything. Otherwise, you are not an elite sports team. You're an also-ran. You're happy to be there for the journey. Crap. Absolute bullshit. If when we almost went bankrupt under Sugar, then you could argue for it. We're not elite at that point. We're recovering from near bankruptcy. There's a fair enough point there. But when we've got to now, let's give Levy some credit. He has raised us to this level where we must be going for this. Must be pushing.
Agreed.
So if he's taken us this far to be an elite team, be an elite team. We've now that for me is this the biggest stroke of genius Levy's pulled in all of his tenure. Is we now have a large contingent of the fans that are happy to not have success each season. Because for me, that's genius.
Yeah, do you know what? And Graham, I'll bring you in here. Yeah. Look, for as much as we dislike Levy and the way he operates, etc., I make you right. And the thing is, Kuva, is, 10 years ago, fans were telling me, well, look what he's done with the club since he joined. And I'm like, okay, great, this project. 10 years later, we're still at a position where it's like, okay, well, soon we'll be ready to compete. And it's like, we're nearly a quarter of a century, Graham, from when he joined.
It's a joke, isn't it? Really?
And like Kuva said, if we want to be an elite club, why can we not now, with the Champions League, stadium in place, one of the best managers in world football, we're talking about there's 150 million available if we need it, plus whatever the transfer budget was. Why can't we go, now is the time to go and be an elite club?
He did make that ridiculous comment where he said money doesn't buy success, Levy, didn't he? I mean, I don't know what he means, but I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Money absolutely
even better. Then there's definitely no excuse, is there?
Yeah, no, he's the infrastructure of the club is great. The stadium's fantastic. The training ground's great. Now, at long last, after 22 years, I think we're entitled to see bigger signings coming in now, really. No more excuses. Been there 22. How many more years are we waiting for him to build a club? He said every drop of money that comes in will go back into the team.
Yeah.
Now, has that happened? I don't think it has it? And we won't end up much different to sort of breaking even at the end of this window. You watch. Time he's moved a few people out and brought, we're not going to be that, we wouldn't have spent that much, would we, at the end of it? But as you said about being a big club, an elite club, he's not elite in his football dealings, is he? And that's for sure.
For me, it's an argument I had the other day. I'm not going to call the chap out for it because he is a decent bloke and I really like him.
Is it me?
No, it's just because he made a point that I've heard many times before, and that's if we're demanding a trophy, we're being entitled.
Oh
now,
God,
for me, yeah, I like I said, I don't want to call the person out because I really do like the bloke, but it's a viewpoint I will never share, and it's because for the likes of me. Many years ago, I worked out roughly how much I'd spent following this club over my lifetime, how much I'd put into the club and travel expenses and everything that goes with it following this club. And it was like over 100 grand in today's money. Now, for me, that most certainly does entitle me to expect things from my club. Yeah. If I go now, I work talking to Ben Kaufman on his coffee shop show this morning. Yeah. If I'm going now from Dorchester to go up to watch the game, 50 quid on the game, 100 quid on travel. So if I'm assuming I'll go by train because I want a few beers, beers, food, talking, if I want to stay over for the night because, I want to go out with a few of the mates there after the game, either I'm crashing around at somebody's house or getting a cheap B&B. I'm looking at 300 quid to do that. Now, that is the kind of money where I expect more than just top four is okay. It's okay to go without a trophy. No, I want to see my team busting a gut to win something every season.
I agree.
This shouldn't be just the players. It shouldn't be just the manager. It should be the bloody owners as well. Because if they're not doing that, why do they own our football club? because the football club remains the fans. You can say they can come in and be a custodian of it, but if they are not doing what the fans require, they are failing the club. Now, Levy has got us so far, and he is now holding us back. And I'm going to hopefully this season is where it changes. That's the big hope.
Coover.
Yeah.
I need 1 minute to have this microphone thing because I'm about to call out this absolute moron. No offense. Well, actually, every offense. Georgios Oikon, you come into my YouTube all the time, my friend, chatting absolute nonsense, right? Let's break down your really silly comment in Savva style, how I like to break down comments. Here we go. Savva thinks transfers in the real world happen like in Football Manager. He will call it ambition, but we all know it's the fact that his views on how football clubs operate are childish and deluded. Oh, let me go. Right. First and foremost, Savva does not think football is like Football Manager. Grow the fuck up, Georgios. Right? Grow up. Savva doesn't. Savva supports a football club, and I hate that I'm talking about myself in third person. Savva supports a football club that charged Savva nearly £100 a game to go and watch. Savva supports a football club that rake in revenue ridiculously for concerts, NFL, boxing, ticket prices, skywalks. We have the most expensive shirts in world football. So no, Savva doesn't think it's like Football Manager. Savva thinks that they charge us a lot of money and they should be putting better players for us to see. Second of all, I will call it ambition when they show ambition, right? Thirdly, I have worked for a Premier League football club. So I have worked with this man to my right for a Premier League football club. Yes or no?
Yes, indeed you did.
Right.
Yes.
So please do not tell me that I don't know how a football club operates and that I'm childish. Georgios, I'm going to put the link at the bottom. Show your balls. Show that you're a big man. Come on, debate with me and tell me why I'm deluded, you absolute moronic twat. Over and out. Hoover, back to you. Sorry.
Please don't come on stream and show your balls.
Yes, not your balls, but come on and talk. I mean, sorry, Coover, just comments like this make me laugh. What happens is when you have a bit of ambition, Coover, any fan with ambition gets called deluded and childish, and they think it's Football Manager. But aren't we as rich now as clubs like Chelsea and Liverpool? And why is it deluded of me to think that we can go for better footballers than Longley on loan, Spence at 12 million, Forster and Basuma on a free? Why is that deluded of me?
It's absolutely not. I mean, we were talking about this. How long ago was it when we first broke into the top four? 12 years ago? It was the 2009-2010 season, I think.
Yeah, with Harry.
And just scraping top four. Where have we gone since then? We're just scraping top four again.
Right.
How are we going anywhere? It's a little bit of a peak, take your foot off the accelerator, fall out of the top four, scrape your way back in. There's just nothing. And this is one of the richest clubs in the world.
Exactly.
Multi-billion pound club. And we are at that level. It's just ridiculous. So damn right, I think we should be expecting more. Demanding. I am demanding trophies. If we should every single season we should be throwing our hat in the ring for serious chance at winning trophies. We don't even get that far, do we?
No, we don't. And Coover, the thing for me, and Graham, I'll bring you in here as well, is I look at the signings we've made. Let's face it, if we've spent roughly 90 to 95 million so far this window, across 6 players, we're looking at 15, 16 million pounds on average per player. That's not how a top elite club operates. I'm sorry. Now, when people say, I just want money spent, it's not about just wanting money to spend. I would rather we went out and spent all of that money on 4 top players. And now, Coover, you know me, I'm not talking about Mbappe. I'm not talking about Haaland. But I'm sorry, when you're looking at Adoji to go back on loan, when you're looking at Jed Spence, who is he going to get any game time above Spence and Doherty? You know, when you're looking at Longley on a loan, who's a good centre back, but sorry, what part of that screams ambition? And the last part of my question to you two is, if that is the case, why do the club keep bringing out these ridiculous comments, slogans like, you know, dare to be different, raise your dare? Well, what are they daring to do themselves?
I mean, Levy over the years has not given us much at all, really, has he? I mean, forget the stadium or the training ground. What has he given us? What does he do? You know, it's just, well, I don't know. See, once you have an anti-opinion, people start getting a bit shirty. You've got to back the calls all the time. I mean, Coover, I make you right on everything you said there. You spent thousands on this team over the years. I mean, really, Spurs has made Daniel Levy a rich man, isn't it, basically? He's become a very, very rich man through running Spurs. And if people want to just turn up every week and have the what's it taken out of them, which they have over the years, then it's up to them. But I think Spurs and Mr. Levy owe us big time to put some more, not just skimp and, you know, get 15 million players and 20 million players. I think we're worth better than that. We're better than that. We're worth more than that.
Yeah, I mean, Coover, do you agree with that? Are we better than that?
Yeah, of course we are. Of course we are. It always comes back to the same thing. Are we a rich club? Yes, we are. One of the richest. Are we an elite club? I certainly think so. If we're not an elite club, you can lower the bar. But if we are an elite club, the bar is at the very top. Has to be there. You can fail going for it, but you better be going for it. I'm not settling for this second best shit. It doesn't float at all. You can say what you like. If your team's Barnsley or something, you've got a lower bar, haven't you? Because you're not an elite team.
Right.
But we're not.
This is the thing, Coover. Talk to me about this, right? I keep hearing, and what a lot of fans, even in the comments, will go, yeah, but Conte said he's happy with his squad. Now, this summer already, I've heard about 3 or 4 different interviews from Conte where he's shifting the goalposts massively depending on what we're doing at that point in the window. So today's comment is, oh, well, we need to be smart and not do anything stupid. For me, that is, okay, we don't want to go and try and be ambitious in case we get it wrong. The top clubs, they get it wrong over and over and over again. But you know what? They keep going at it. Chelsea bought Lukaku for 100 million. What did they do? Right, loan him straight back out. Right, this season, what are we going to do? You know, there's nothing wrong with getting it wrong.
For me, it's so obvious when you look back over the last, you know, the whole of the Enoch tenure. Like I said, to start with, did well raising us up to that certain level, getting us in amongst the top 6, which we haven't been doing. That is a result. That's good stuff. We were all happy with that sort of thing. Not happy with some of the things going on in the background, like sacking of Martin Jol and things like that. But okay, there was a general trajectory upwards. Once we've reached that trajectory, we don't go the step further. We never do. We get told, and it's almost bragging, Levy seems to do at times. We've made this much money this year. We've done the record profit margin for a football league club in 1 year. We've successfully navigated through the COVID process so much better than other clubs have. And yet, when it comes to actually spending the money on big name signings or paying big name wages, suddenly, no, we can't compete with that. Even though we just spent the last 2 years saying how much we can. The fact is, all of this transfer window that we're now sifting through the mess, and we're talking about such vast quantities of players, this did not happen overnight. The mess was built over years.
Exactly.
And for that, you most certainly do look at your owners and your chairman, because
But
not
Coover,
one single manager has done that.
Coover, this is the sort of response you get, though. This is where I think it's not only the club that need to be ambitious, the fans have to be as well. So Raf is saying we spent 60 million on Ndombele and he was crap. I don't mind if all our transfers are free agents, as long as we get the quality we need in right positions. Let's be honest, no club ever won the Premier League by buying all free transfers, right? Second of all, okay, just because we spent money 3.5 years ago on Ndombele and he was crap, it doesn't mean you don't keep going, does it? Surely, Coover, surely.
The key bit here is one word: quality. Get the quality in the right positions.
Right.
That's it. Then this phrase is quite right. It doesn't matter if they cost 60 million or they're free. Perisic, great signing, free. And Ndombele, well, has he got quality? I'd argue he hasn't because he doesn't show it.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, you scout. Yeah, scouting as well. That's that recruitment, scouting, the whole setup behind the scenes has just been wrong from day one. It's always reeked of the businessman taking over a football club without understanding what a football club's needs are.
Yeah.
Well, he's got through about 15 managers in those times, and the 22 years, 15 managers. How many chief scouts has he got through in that time as well? See, the blame is always everybody else, isn't it? It doesn't work, then just get rid of the person, get rid of the manager.
In the comments as well, Luan Loati, the Man United fan, saying about their owners. Totally agree. Absolute mess as well, ruining your club. Man United fans should be angry for all the crap that's going on. Arsenal fans should be angry. Villa fans should be angry about what's been happening in their club over the last 30 years. Newcastle fans, they should deserve a hell of a lot more than they've been served up. It's not a case of because they're doing badly, we should also accept doing badly. Lots of fans should be up in arms and expect more. This should be a highly competitive league with about 8 to 10 clubs all in with a chance of going for the title each season. That would be healthy, it would be exciting, and we should very much be part of it and taking our fair share of silverware. That's the thing. It's spread out between a handful of clubs that are prepared to go the extra mile. The ones that aren't don't get anything, with the rare exception of like Leicester, who actually did go, in their terms, they did go the extra mile. They got their recruitment policy, but became quite aggressive. And they got in players that were above their station, you could even argue. And it worked for them. It's starting to fall off the wheels now, but it did work for a while. We just don't do it. Compared to our stature, we do so poorly. Man United are now the same as well, becoming that laughing stock that we always thought other people would say about us. It's now happening with United, isn't it? Players don't want to go there because they see it as it looks like the club that won't succeed.
Just quickly, Coover, I just want to, before I bring you in, Graham, I've got a question for you. And Soren, give me 1 minute, mate. I'll bring you on as well as Coover. If you are in the show, there's 150 of you in the show. Please smash the like button. Only 55 likes. Graham, I have got a question for you. Before I get to that, Yusna has said, when someone disagrees with you, 9 times out of 10, you call them a troll. Yusna, not at all. What I'm happy to do is if there's a comment I don't agree with, I will bring it up and talk about it. But when I'm called a deluded child who thinks it's Football Manager, I will call out that person.
Quite right too, as well.
Damn right. So, Yusna, I'm afraid if you don't like that, then smash the like button and see you later. Mate, listen, Yusna, I give everyone the opportunity. I put the link in the comments. I welcome them on. But when I'm called a deluded child and I've actually worked for a Premier League football club,
is a necessary comment, isn't it?
It's very silly. So if you agree with that behaviour, cool. And everyone, I am cool. Everyone's saying I'm getting heated about it. It was cool. I just like to put people in their place.
Very relaxed.
I'm bringing Soren into the stream. Hello, Soren. Just before I bring you in, my friend, Graham, I did see a comment here for you. Really? There's quite a lot. GRL58 has said, what was the point in getting top 4 and having an elite manager if you don't match that ambition, Graham?
Well, exactly. You've got to have that ambition. I just think that it's almost like trying to do the bare minimum in the transfer market, isn't it? Let's just try and get there through good management without spending pots of money, isn't it? Do you not think?
I mean, I don't mean. Soren, let me
lack of ambition.
Let me bring you in, Soren. I know we have different views. Which is fine, by the way, right? Soren and I always get on. What do you make of it? What do you consider ambition to mean? Because it means something different to all of us, right? What do you consider?
Yeah, first up, big up to Coover and Graham and yourself.
Yeah, big up, mate.
I mean, I think we all want the same thing. I don't think there's a single Spurs fan out there that doesn't want to win trophies, that doesn't want to win the league, that doesn't want to be the most successful team out there. I think we then break it down a little bit further and look at it slightly different. I want a trophy. I want top four. Top four is a minimum that I want this year. If we also bring in a trophy, we bring in a trophy. But I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't bring in a trophy. And I know, the likes of Kuva, we've had this conversation that it's not a lack of ambition from me. It's a lack of, I suppose I would call it sensibility, because there's only 3 trophies in the English league that we can win: the Premiership, the FA Cup, and the League Cup. Like we've said, we're going up against City, Liverpool, Chelsea up to recently. We've got to think of it this way as well. Chelsea and City, they were owned by very, very, very rich people, and it was a toy. It was a plaything. It wasn't a business in the sense of how Tottenham's run. Tottenham is run as a business. It's not run as a let's go out and win everything. And unfortunately, that's the way we're going to have to look at it. Now, everybody that says ENIC out, I get why they say it, and I fully understand why they're saying it. My argument is that if we look back 20 years, we were a decent club, finishing 14th. Do we all want that again? We were winning a trophy, 81, 82, 80, 91. I don't want to finish 14th and win a trophy. I want to finish in the top 4 and be playing Champions League. Look over the last 3 or 4 years. Champions League final, we could have been Champions League winners.
Yep.
We were in the League Cup final a couple of years ago, I believe. We could have been. We could have had over the last 5 or 6 years or 10 years. We could have had 3 or 4 trophies. We didn't. We bottled it on the day. Typical Spurs type thing. Now, there was a bit of a conversation earlier, and I know we've had it, and I know you was talking about, how much money's left in the pot yesterday and what players. We're not going to get an Hakimi. These people that think somebody like Hakimi at the moment is going to come to Tottenham Hotspur, they're delusional. They are not going to come until we start winning things. It's the chicken and the egg, which came first. Once we start winning things, these top players will look at us a little bit different and think, I want to go and play for that team.
But Soren, as I said to you the other day, why is Hakimi, we're here with our right wing backs. Hakimi's there. What's wrong with getting someone in there?
No, and that's what I agree with, Savva. That like I say, it's people coming out and saying, why aren't we signing the top players? Bastoni's classed as a top player. He didn't want to come to us at the moment. Bremner wanted, top player. He didn't want to come to us at the moment. These players do not want to come to us. Now, what was the thing from Scott there? I just missed it.
He's asked, how long can you keep saying could have, might have, could, if, maybe?
Exactly. And I get that. And I do get that.
Scott, come on. Come on.
I hate wanting to say, wait till next year or wait till the year, because we keep saying that. And I think it's getting repetitive now. And I agree it's getting repetitive. Look at the couple of players we've just signed. People are disrespecting Jed Spence. We haven't even seen him play for us yet. Now, again,
is it disrespect, Soren, or is it the fact that Spurs are saying, well, hang on, we are paying this much money to watch our club. We are in the Champions League. We have got Conte. We've got that stadium. And yet we've gone all around the world to find a right wing back and ended up going. We need one from the Championship.
Savva, we said this the other day. How many right wing backs have we been linked to? None, other than Jed Spence. Because
I agree.
Yeah. Now, had we been linked to people like Hakimi and things, every other position we've been linked to players apart from the right wing back. It's weird because as Tottenham fans, and I've heard Kuva say it many, many times and things like that, we need a right wing back. And I fully agree. We need a top class right wing back. We've got Perisic. We need something on the right. We bring in Jed Spence. What we just done with the left-hand side, Udogie from Udinese. These are 2 players for 2 or 3 seasons ahead. Now, is this Conte saying, I know he didn't want Jed Spence, but is this Conte saying, I am going to be here long term. Let's build something to get us competing and start start. And I know that's not what a lot of Tottenham fans want to hear, next year or the year.
Let me ask you a question then. I'll ask you a question and then get Coover and Graham to answer this as well. The worry I have with this game, right? So a lot of people have said, well, let's use the centre-back, for example, Soren, right? A lot of people have said, well, we're not going to buy a centre-back because we're waiting next year because Vardial and Bastoni will be available. Yeah. Now, for me, that's a really dangerous game to play because let's assume this year, and I'm not saying before I get loads of hate in the chat, let's just devil's advocate, let's assume we don't finish top 4 this year. Mm-hmm. Now, all of a sudden, people like Bastoni and Vardial, it won't be about whether they want to join us because we're a big club. It'll be they don't have Champions League football. Then people like me will be there with our big flags going, I told you so. Why didn't we do it last year when we had Champions League and Conte? Now, I'm not saying Bastoni, that's just an example. But I fail to believe, and Coover, Graham, I'll bring you in here. I fail to believe, I've said it all summer, as much as Conte will sit in interviews and say, I'm happy with my squad, because he's not going to say any different during a summer window publicly. I fail to believe that these 6 signings were anywhere near, maybe Perisic, were anywhere near the top of this man's shopping list.
I think with the level of manager that Conte is, he would want the best players in the world, without a shadow of a doubt. We don't know at the moment how many of those 6 players were Conte's choices. I don't know. Obviously, clearly, Spence wasn't one. Going back to what you said earlier, I mean, to be honest, the club are only interested, I think, in the Champions League. I think the winning a trophy is going to be very much an extra for them because that's where the money is. The Champions League is where the money is. And I think that is Levy's, obviously, motivation. But, that's,
Coover, what do you make of it?
Well, Levy's motivation.
No, just in terms of it's a dangerous game, not striking. Top.
For me, if that's the plan with the likes of Bastoni, Gvardiol, what would have been wrong with putting something in place now in preparation for next season with them involved, like the buy now, loan back for a season, or the pre contractual agreement, anything like that, where they're talking about a contract running out in the certain players' cases. The fact is, it's nothing. There seems to be no contact at all, doesn't there? We always just get I have heard or sources suggest. You don't get anything from the ones that always that little bit more advanced down the line. The what's his name, Fabrizio Romano. Yeah, you don't get him saying Spurs are closing in on Bastoni or anything like that. It's very quiet on that sort of level.
We're obviously not closing in on anybody.
Yeah. I mean, let me bring you in here. I was having a good chat with, I thought it was Henry. Yes, it was Henry Wright. I was going to say a mate of mine at work. That is Henry Wright. And we were saying, isn't it funny though that when we're linked with an exciting player or a player at a better club, like a Zaniolo, like a Milenkovic, right? We're in talks apparently for ages, and talks are going to continue. You just always know, Soren, that nothing's going to happen with it, and it's happened again, right? It's like when they're half decent, and Zaniolo is a very good footballer. I'm not putting him in a world-class bracket. He's a very good footballer. Even a deal like that, we seem to be miles away from being able to conclude. Why is that?
I think this is where a lot of the Levy out people are right, because Levy just doesn't want to push that extra 2, 3, 4, 5 million pound that it's going to cost. But what we've got to look at I honestly thought Zaniolo was coming. I really did think we were going to get him. I do think it's Mourinho that's kicked us in the arse and the balls to say, like, you got me, you sacked me just before the final again, which we lost, you ain't having one of my better players. But, again, we look at people like Bastoni. It's all right saying, why aren't we doing it? And why can't we do a loan back for next year? we don't know whether these players flatly refuse to come or whether they've turned around and say, I'll come next year, or whether we've even put an offer in. We don't know the ins and outs of these things. We're all assuming Don Paratici has done something and asked whether they'll come. If they've turned around and said no, what do? We can't force them to come. It doesn't matter how much money we chuck on the table. If they don't want to come, they're not going to come.
I hear you. It just feels to me that whenever it is a player that genuinely, look, it might just be me. I can only ever say my mind, right? The same way you say your mind and Graham here's and Coover, etc. It's just whenever I see us linked to a player and I go, oh, Graham, I'd love that player. Automatically, my next line to you, Graham, isn't it, is we'll never get them. Yeah. And I'm not talking Hakimis. I'm not talking Mbappe's and Haalands, but even Zaniolo's. And I get the Jose element, but we would have known that beforehand. Milenkovic was available at 20 million. It feels like we can't just go out and go, bang. It feels like we send Hitchin or Hitchin, then Paratici now. It feels like they're in talks for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it's like a deal is edging closer. And the next thing you know, all done. It's dead. Every time, sorry.
Doesn't oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All I was going to say is, how do we know Milenkovic was available for 20 million? You know, that might be just a rumor that's got spread again. And surely if he was available for 20 million, we'd have bid 15 and not got him. But you know, I mean, it's like Zaniolo, you know, apparently these players are available and we're in talks to buy them. And then all of a sudden they're not available and they've signed new contracts. Well, were they available in the first place? Or to answer your question is, you know, we're trying to talk to these players. We can't get it over the line. Is that telling you that, again, with people like Zaniolo, with Milenkovic, with Bastoni, we're punching above the weight of players that want to come to our club?
But Roma, Fiorentina, are we saying that we are not desirable to players of those clubs?
What we've got to look at again is, it may be that these players don't want to come out of the country that they're living in.
True.
You know, I mean, it's that, you know, it's like some of our players may not want to go abroad. Mm-hmm. They may want to go or they may want to stay where they are. We just don't know the answers to these.
But then don't you also get the feeling of, if we don't get one of these players in, why haven't we got another player in?
Right.
It feels like it's, he wasn't available, therefore we're not spending anything.
But maybe this comes back to Conte say on the how we are going to be now, that if we can't get the right player that he wants, we're not going to get somebody just for the sake of it.
Okay, let's just welcome Ellie. Hello, Ellie, Queen Ellie.
Hello.
How are you?
How you doing? I'm just listening to that. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just listening to that and I'm thinking, money talks, right? Money talks. If you put the money down that Levy doesn't do, right? He's notoriously bad at putting big bucks down, right? And when he does, the 60 million he played for Richarlison, he goes and does little skimpy things like buys Jed Spence, gets a free transfer. He's a wheeler dealer. I'm fed up with it. Go out and put your money where your mouth is and back Conte fully. Because however good these players are, they're not going to be good enough to get us to that top level that Coover was talking about. And I'm fed up as well, because I've spent probably more than Coover. So I said in the chat, I want a rebate. Because 22 years, man.
You won't get that from Levy.
I mean, being an ex-Spurs lady player, it must be breaking your heart with this. But the only thing I can say with that is, and I know this is going to be controversial and everyone's going to hate on me, but we've got to be sensible. I mean, you know, we're coming into a time of crisis and we're talking, why aren't we spending 60, 80, 100 million on players and giving them 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 pounds a week in wages? I mean, it's ludicrous now, is football. I bet obviously I know the ladies' game is a lot different to the men's game, but you know, people are in, you know, can't afford to live these days. And we're talking about signing the top players for however much and breaking our wage structure. It's not going to happen. it's not going to happen until we start winning Premier Leagues. And that's not going to happen until we start breaking out. And I know it's a cycle. Don't tell me, but it's just, we've got to be realistic.
But Soren,
the thing is, you don't win a lot of money for winning the Premier League. You don't get that much
and that's
money
why they want
involved.
Champions
The big
League.
bucks are in the Champions League.
Exactly.
That's why Levy just wants to get top 4, and he's happy with that. He doesn't really care about trophies. Obviously, the one that he's won, he's probably got it at his home. It's not even in the trophy cabinet.
No, it's a doorstop.
He probably sleeps with it at night.
That's where he keeps all his spare change.
He doesn't seem bothered.
Yeah.
He's only won one in 22 years, is he? He doesn't seem bothered about that.
But the thing for me with all of this is, again, it comes down to timing. I mean, throughout the last decade, I've heard, well, we've got to wait for the stadium. Stadium gets done. And the training ground gets done. Then it's, well, when we've got a world-class manager, we've got a world-class manager. Well, now we've got to wait for Champions League. Well, we got Champions League. Then we have this window, which, don't get me wrong, and I'll say it again for the 160 people that are watching, and please smash the like button. Please do. It's free. Just do that.
Yeah, smash it.
It's been a good window. I'm not saying it's not been good, but it's been a good window for me if we were a Europa League team with Nuno or Poch in charge. This isn't the window for me of a Conte. Now, I want to bring all of your... I just want to bring this chat up, and I think we'll all probably have very different views on this, and that's what it's all about, okay? So Faz has said to me, I'm sorry, Savva, I disagree with you. That's allowed, Faz, don't worry. Apart from Spence, other than Conte's choice, Conte would have walked by now if this wasn't the case. Now, ladies and gents, I keep hearing this over and over again, that if Conte hadn't have wanted a single one of these players, he would have walked. Now, we know he's temperamental, but I can't foresee any way in which in the middle of a transfer window in the summer, when there's no other top jobs around in world football, that Conte's going to go, oh, well, I didn't want Longley on loan. See you later. Has anyone got a different view that they think he would leave mid-window if he didn't get his targets?
I do.
You think he would?
Yeah, I do. Because I think he's a very proud man, and we all know he's a serial winner. We all know he's one of the, if not the best coach at the moment, or manager, whichever way, in world football. And I honestly do think that he's probably looking at this and thinking, it's not the worst. You know, we have backed him. Don't care what anybody says. We have backed him. Maybe not as well as we could have done, and I get that. Maybe not got the top players in, and I get that. But we don't know exactly what he asked for. He may have said, I'm quite happy with the first 11, and I need backup for them. He may have come out and said, no, I need world-class players, and they've tried to do it, and we couldn't get them. We just don't know exactly what is being said behind the scenes. And we all know Conte is quite quick at saying what he thinks at the time. You know, he's not shy.
Sorry, let me ask you. I know you love to sit on the fence. I know you love to sit on the fence, my friend. I'm going to take those splinters out your arse. Right. You tell me, Soren, in what reality did Antonio Conte say one of these two things? A, I like the 11, I just need backups. And B, the players I want are Longley, Spence, Richarlison, Forster. I'm sorry, mate. I believe that he would have been satisfied, but that is a very big difference to being satisfied and to actually saying that is who I want. So, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, and that's kind of. I wasn't trying to say that he's asked for those players actually.
Oh, I know.
What I'm saying is though, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe some of you can tell me differently, but I don't know whether he's gone with a list of particular players or whether he's gone with a list of saying, right, this is the positions I want. You tell me who's available, and I'll tell you whether I'm happy with them. Now, we all know he's obviously not keen on, Jed Spence was not his first choice. It probably wasn't his choice at all. But Jed Spence is the only one who's come out and said anything about not wanting. or not his decision. Everybody else, there's been no real comment on. Now, I'm not saying that they're the players he particularly wanted. I'm just saying that I don't think he's looked at it and thought, no, I can't work with those players.
Yeah,
that's
listen, I
different.
agree. Listen, Scott, I was going to say, Scott, welcome to the channel. I'm going to bring
I'm
you
getting
in.
outnumbered here now, aren't I?
No. Listen, I think it's a really good point. Scott, what do you think? Do you think that? I mean, look, we don't know. Could there have been a list of 5 names in each position, and they've said, "Look, this is who I really want, but this would be the minimum I would accept," and that's happened? Or do you believe he's gone for Longlay's my first choice at centre half, Richarlison? Basu, do you know what I mean? Adoji. What do you make of it, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have to. I mean, he hasn't even been here a full year, and I think it's possible that he could be much like what we're saying. This is up for him a 5 or a 6 out of 10 window, right? And he's saying, I've only been here a year, so I'm not walking now. We've done few steps, but it's not good enough. And I'd have to read Faz's statement again, but what I find a lot of people are saying now is, oh, Conte hasn't left, so that means he rates this window, so you all have to stop. I think what's much more likely is that, much like what a lot of us are saying, I think even Soren is saying, this window's not good enough for filling all our needs, but it is not terrible either, right? And I don't see why we would think that Conte doesn't think that. And none of us know him, right? All I can go is back on what he's done. When he was at Chelsea, when he was at Juventus winning, he had Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzgali, sorry, can't pronounce that name, right? When he was at Inter, De Vrij, Bastoni, Skriniar. Now he has Davies, Dyer, and Romero. Are we supposed to believe that those 3 guys, like, they're not anywhere close to it, right? Even the people who are their biggest fans are not going to put Dyer, Davies in the group with Bastoni, Bonucci, Chiellini, right? So he doesn't. Same thing at wing backs. He's never had a 21-year-old wing back as his like number
Can I
one.
ask you, Scott? I want to ask you off the back of what you've just said. Is I see comments like this a lot as well. There seems to be this belief, right, that Antonio Conte throughout his managerial career has never bought top players to a football club. Now, I went on to Transfer Market the other week and looked at every single signing Antonio Conte had ever made as a manager. And some of the lists of the players in that list were frightening. And we're talking Pirlos, right? We're talking some of the world's best. So this notion that Conte goes to clubs, buys average players and makes them world class, I don't know if this is a comfort blanket for Spurs fans because we don't buy really well.
I think it goes back to, again, what I've talked to you about before, is the Ashley Young, Victor Moses, right? He had 2 situations in his whole career where he had 2 guys that he took from wingers to make them into wing backs. And now we're supposed to imagine that Conte does it with every single player he has. Like you said, you look at those Juventus players. The 3 center backs I listed were consistently Italian national team players. He had Pirlo, as you said. Vidal at Juve was a great player. Maybe not world class, but he was great when he played there. Pogba, people can knock his attitude, but you look at what he did at Juve, he was great. At Inter, Lautaro Martinez, Argentinian international. Lukaku didn't do great at United, but still is a talent, right? They didn't buy him for £10. They bought him for a high amount. Hakimi, coming from Dortmund, he wasn't just some random guy. He did great at Dortmund. Like, it's insane when you look at this Brozovic, right? I mean, I can keep going on. They're international level players and not just international level players for low level teams. These are top, like Italian, Argentina, Croatia. So I think people really like to latch onto that narrative that Conte doesn't need world-class players. He can make everybody. No, Conte doesn't need maybe 20 world-class players, and he is able to fit some players into his system, but he doesn't take bad players and make them world class, right? He takes a few, and his teams are littered. Every team he's had, Inter, Juve, Chelsea, are littered with great players. Great.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh, sorry. Very quickly, I was going to add to that. I think there are certain players that won't be viewed as world class, and I'll put Richarlison in that bracket, that Conte loves because they bring an attitude that fits in with his way of thinking. They're real fighters, people that will scrap for everything. And he sees that winning trait in them. And again, it's to do with winning. It's to do with quality. These are qualities he can harness. The qualities that the likes of Harry Winks doesn't have, which is why he's on his way out of the club. This is what's important. I think this is why also Conte gets the reputation of doesn't always go for world class. Sometimes he will value that attitude ahead of a reputation, but not all the time. If he's given the chance to work with a Messi or a Ronaldo, he's probably going to want to take it. Well, he could argue against Ronaldo in some ways, couldn't he, recently? But
just jumping quickly on what Kuva just said as well. I fully agree with him and what Scott's just said. But do you not see a little bit of a difference as well in what we've got in the team, where we've got a few players now that have got that aggressive streak to them? You know, that have got that bit of a spine to them. Instead of being a soft team like we have been in the past, we've now got Richarlison, a little bit dirty, a little bit crafty. A little bit dirty, a little bit crafty. Kulusevski can have a little bit of a dirty side to him. We've now got, and if you look at the signings we have had, they're not world class. Fully agree with you. Apart from Perisic, which is probably a year or two past his best, maybe. But Basuma, solid player still. Perisic going to be a solid player for us. These players that we've got in, and Longley, up until the big incident with Barcelona, he was a decent defender. So we haven't signed poor players to try and make them better. We've signed solid players. Maybe not poor, but they're solid. And that's the difference in our team now. When he looks at that bench now, he's going to see one or two players. They might not be world class, but they're a lot more solid than what we had.
Agreed. Listen, just quickly, I've got a question I'm going to answer, and then I've got a question I want you to answer, Graham. So Faz has said, Savva, what makes you think those players with Conte signings and the ones with Spurs aren't? I believe you're referring to when I just talked about bringing in players like Pirlo and Tevez. That pretty much speaks for itself why he would be bringing in players like that. I'm not saying that all of these signings haven't been sealed by Conte. I just don't believe that these would have been at the top of his list if he was asked who he could bring in to make us better. That's all, Faz. So I'm not saying they're not Conte signings, but I just still don't see this only for me, I don't see this as backing a manager in a Champions League window. Graham, I got a question for you here from Wow Factor. Has said, question, how is it that Phil Foden, I'm talking about Phil Foden now, is getting more, I'm guessing getting more money than Harry Kane and Son, and he's not even a top goal scorer?
Well, because Man City are prepared to pay it. I mean, he's invaluable to Man City. I think he's a tremendous player, Foden. You don't have to be a striker to be paid all that money. I would pay top dollar if I was Man City for Phil Foden to keep him happy, without a shadow of a doubt. Different club, isn't it? What Spurs pay Son and Kane doesn't relate to what Man City are paying Phil Foden. But I can imagine why Man City are really making sure he's nailed down, and long-term contract, good money is very good money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good, fair enough. Right, Kuva, let me come to you. I'm going to ask you this. It was asked for me, but I'm going to let you answer it. If Basuma had been 70 million, i.e. 3 years left on his contract rather than 1, do you think Daniel Levy would have bought him?
No.
I'm going to go with a yes. Because I think the Levy's been backed into that corner. Basuma. I'm thinking of Bastoni. Bastoni comes up. I've got a bit of a tent going on, and I can't think. Basuma, 70 million. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
Right now, guys. I mean, I don't know. Listen, you can read a question however you want it, right, over the internet. But I mean, is that to suggest that again we bought Basuma in, guys, because he had 1 year left? Would we? So do we go and get a Basuma type that's got 3 years left on them? Do we do that type of business? Scott, Soren, is that what we do?
I think the first question is, if Basuma had been 70 million with 3 years left, do we think he's worth 70 million? Because if we do, then we're classing him as a top player. That's the difference where we've got to look at that. we've signed a player for 25 million, 20 million, whatever. And because he's only 20, 25 million, people aren't happy with what we've paid for him because he's not a top player. If he was 70 million, does he suddenly become a top player? Is he a different player to a 25 million player a 25 million pound player that we've just bought?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, for me, I think it's a very good buy. I get what that chap is saying. I think it's a very good buy. I hope that he goes straight into the 11 as well. I really do. I don't want to see us bringing in players like that and not playing them. But
apart from Richarlison, all the signings are sort of very cautious signings, aren't they? We're not spending a lot of money out. Perisic on a free, Basuma because he's got 1 year left. Richarlison's the only one really where we've gone bosh. 60 million, big money.
Agreed.
The rest are all sort of, well, we're not paying that much for them. Let's bring them in.
Do you not think, though, that if you look at each player individually, Perisic was brought in for the future to train probably Sessegnon by the look of it, or Udogie. You know, I mean, Conte's asked for this young lad from Udinese, you know, and he's then let him go back on loan to make sure we get him. So this is kind of telling us, jumping back a little bit, that maybe he is here for long term. Maybe he is here saying, this is the first step. We're going to make the squad a little bit solid, and then we're going to, each year we'll get 1 or 2 players instead of 6 or 7 like we've done this year. But let's just jump onto the wages as well. I mean, I think, is Kane on 220, 250 a week?
Man, about
something like that, I think. 200.
Let's not pretend that that's all he's getting. You know, these players that think that is his wages. No, it's not. There are other bits of bobs coming into him that are not classed as wages. It might be per goal, it might be add-ons. He's on a lot more than that. So we're talking about Foden at City. Again, let's look at it. City are a toy to those very, very rich people. They players, all they want to do is win trophies. We are set up differently. Fans, we want to win trophies. The club, it's about money. It's a business.
Let me bring you in here, Scott. I think it's really important to answer people's questions. So get questions in, and we'll answer them as a panel. Where has it gone? This scares me because I almost feel like I can see this happening. I don't know if anyone else is on the same wavelength. He said, considering the signings we made, I can see Adama Traore happening for 10 million in the last week. Now, Scott, my question to you is this. I reckon if you asked 9 out of 10 Spurs fans secretly if they want Adama Traore, they'd say no. If we sign him, the answer is going to be, well, if Conte wants him, I want him, isn't it? That's going to be the answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it would be 9 out of 10 would say no, because people seem to have a love affair with this guy. I'll give you, like, he seems to bring out, but yes, you're right. People will be saying now, no, Traore, and then he'll be brought, or there'll be a rumor that he's going to go to Man United, and people will say, look at United buying another crap player, and then he'll say, oh no, he's actually going to Spurs, and he'll be world class. What scares me about that move is, let's be honest. If we wanted Traore, we could have had him by now, right? Like, there's no way I can imagine that Conte's been saying all summer long, bring me Traore, and we've just been waiting. Like, he's clearly available. He's clear. We could go out and grab him if we want him. There was links prior to Conte coming here, so it is possible that he likes him, although he doesn't seem like the kind of Conte style player that I've seen him use at wing back in the past. But it's hard to believe that this would be like Conte saying, yes, that's the guy who I actually want at right wing back, right? Mm-hmm. It would seem to be just oh man, we got to grab something, so we'll just grab him, like we've done how many times in the past. I think Graham was talking about Sissoko earlier, right? And it just seems like that kind of move.
Don't you feel, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't put words in your mouth. Do you feel that way about Spence? Because I feel that way about Spence.
A little, yeah. I think in the same way. I don't think that was Conte saying. I mean, Conte's already said it, right? The one thing I'll say about Spence is, at least, I mean, it did take a long time, but we got him in. He's in. Let's move on. I think it's possible for him to do something like, at least we got him in. We know what we have. It's like, this one would be like, oh, it's the last minute FC. I can't, lastminute.com. Is that what Bob always says, or somebody, right? Somebody has that lastminute.com. And that just seems what it is to me, is that it's just, we're just going to grab somebody for no reason. Like Spence, it seems like somebody at the club, not Conte, I don't think, but somebody at the club, at least somebody at the club wanted him. So you can kind of see how that makes sense. It's frustrating that we don't have a better right wing back coming in with them, but Traore just, I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
Okay, Graham, let me bring you in here on this question from Daniel Hammett. He said, looking at our current squad and our next 5 games being Chelsea, Wolves, Forest, West Ham and Fulham, what are your expectations points-wise from those games? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next 5 games, 15 available.
Run through them again quickly, sorry.
What, am I here to, am I reading this
Yeah,
for
go
you?
on.
All right.
Keep you busy. Come on.
Chelsea,
Yep.
Wolves, Forest, West Ham, Fulham.
15 points. I'll be looking at 11. Would that be sort of optimistic? 10?
3 wins and 2 draws.
Round about that mark, I'd be looking for, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's a bit slightly less.
Anyone raise on that? Is anyone expecting?
I think 15.
15.
I honestly think we're going to beat Chelsea this weekend.
Okay.
And I don't see why. If we want this winning mentality, there is no reason any of us should be thinking we're going to drop points at any of them teams other than Chelsea. But I still think because of when we're playing them, we'll get 3 points. So I think 15. Anything less, I'll be disappointed. Anybody who says differently, and I don't mean this horrible to Graham, with everybody who's telling us we're going to win trophies and we should be ambitious, anybody who says less than 15 points to that 5 games, you're not ambitious. You're not backing up what you're saying.
But hang on. Sorry, I've got to disagree with that. Whether I'm ambitious as a human being or not has got little to do with whether I think we're just going to sweep all before us.
No, but they are not. I mean, other than Chelsea, but I do.
West Ham away?
Eh? Yeah.
West Ham away?
Yeah. I think there's no reason we shouldn't be thinking of going to West Ham away and seeing 3 points. There's, if we are thinking that we're going to do some good this year, and whether we're thinking Premiership, I mean, none of us are really delusional, surely, that we're going to win the Premiership this year. Hopefully not. Anyway,
there's some out there.
No, I mean here, I know there is some out there. Don't worry, but
it's that man above you. Man above you.
Yeah,
I'm going to demote him.
There isn't a team in there other than Chelsea normally that I would expect us to drop points. That I would want us to drop points and not expect us. Sorry.
Yeah.
Last year I would have said we'll be lucky if we get 9 points out of it. Now, I honestly think there is no reason we shouldn't be looking at 15 points from that at this stage of the season.
See, I agree. They're all beatable without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, especially if we beat Chelsea this week. I mean, Wolves haven't started very well. Forest are new to the league. West Ham, you never know what you're going to get. And Fulham are new to the league. So, yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. That once you get through Chelsea with a win, the other 4 are certainly winnable, yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps I was underestimating it.
No.
How about this take then? If we win at Chelsea, we're not only turning over the result from last season, but we're bucking the trend of multiple years. If we do that, and we're looking at the other 4 of us also being winnable, if we manage that, and we're talking about closing on City and Liverpool, then Chelsea result would be reversed. The Wolves one would be reversed. The West Ham result would be reversed. We've already reversed the Southampton result. That's 4 of those 11 losses from last season. We've turned around them.
Yep.
So I'm damn right I'm going for 15 points all the way. 4 of them I expect to win. Chelsea I hope to win.
So, Kuva, you're telling me after those 5 games plus the Southampton game, we're going to be 6 wins from 6 on 18 points.
Chelsea,
No, Kuva, don't bottle it now, mate. Come on,
I don't expect to beat Chelsea, but I do hope to beat Chelsea.
Kuva,
get
off the fence.
Look, his internet's going now.
Oh, look, your internet's going now. You've had a dodgy opinion. Look, here we go. Right, come on. How many points after 6 games, Kuva? I need a number.
Going for it then. 18.
18. All right. Soren's going for 18 as well. Yep. Scott, I have a feeling you're going to bring that down a little bit.
Yeah, I would say much. I mean, I don't think that we're going to win anything this year. So I know, Soren, you're saying when people say we're going to win, I don't think we're going to win a cup. I don't think we're going to win the Champions League. So for me, I haven't seen anything from this club last year. I haven't seen it even in the Southampton game or over the summer that makes me think that we aren't going to drop games that we should win. I still think we have that in us. And so I don't know exactly which game we'll drop points. I still see us. We could beat City, then go out and lose to Wolves that next week. So for me, if this is 15 points, I see probably two draws in there. So what does that take it down to? My math isn't good.
11.
So here's 11. So you're 14 points after the first 6.
Yeah. And I still think that's fine. I mean, I think that's, like I've always said, I think we're going to be top 4. I'll say this, if we want to challenge City, then we probably need to be looking at getting full points in this. If we think that we're going to challenge City and even Liverpool, because they're going to drop points like we saw Liverpool drop points against Fulham, but they're not going to do it very often. And we've seen City, they'll lose the first game of the season last year and then lose 2 more in the next 37 games. So
I mean, Scott, it's a good point. But the whole City thing is a good point, because if you look at City's, they just stroll past West Ham. Their next 5 are Bournemouth at home this weekend. So if anyone hasn't made Erling Haaland their fantasy captain, I would probably do that. Then they've got Newcastle away, Palace at home, Forest at home, Villa away before the big one against us. Now, the reason I mention us in there is after 6 games, what we're saying is if there's a gap between us and City after those 6 games and they beat us, then it's an even bigger gap and we're status quo. What you guys are saying is if we are 18 for 18 after those 6 games, and assuming City will be, we go into that level on points with City after 6 games.
Yeah, but I think you're kind of looking at it a little bit different to what I'm trying to say. In that list of games there, other than Chelsea, we should be winning.
I agree.
I'm not delusional and thinking we're going to win the league or we're going to come second. But at this stage, Chelsea are not firing yet. They're still a little bit up and down. So they're beatable. Had it been Chelsea last of these games, then I'd have probably said a different thing. But because it's this weekend, I do think we can beat them. Wolves, there's no reason we shouldn't be beating Wolves. Forest,
I agree.
There's no reason we should be losing to Forest. West Ham, to me, in a sense, West Ham is probably the hardest game in the lot of them, but I still think it's winnable.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
It's a different story.
Sure. Got loads of questions to get through, so as long as everyone is okay for time.
By the way, if we did get 14 points out of the first 18 points, I believe that puts us on course for about mid-90s points finish in the table.
Yeah, but we know we're not going to do that for over the season. The only reason I'm saying
why?
Yeah, but no, the only reason I'm saying it now is because it's the start of the season. That game against Southampton, we look quite solid. So we've got that little momentum going. Forget pre-season. That's we're not going to joke around and go through that. But if we play like we can do and we stay solid and we believe in what Conte is trying to do, and he's asked for a pre-season, he's now had his pre-season, these first few games are winnable because the role will be there. Everybody's believing in it. Now, if we lose against Chelsea, we'll probably implode against somebody else in that list as well. But we've got to start believing. I don't think we're going to go through the season unbeaten. We're not going to do that. We'll probably do these 5 games.
Someone's got a bet on Spurs being invincible for the season, haven't you?
What we've got to do is eliminate the bad results.
I'm right.
We've got to eliminate the silly results where we should be winning and we don't.
Yeah. I mean, this is where the argument came in last year that we scraped 4th. And I think Scott's one that comes out with, we did scrape 4th the way you look at it. But it's only because we bottled it ourselves and we lost to teams that we shouldn't have been losing against that we scraped. But in reality, we got 4th because we were the 4th best team in the league.
No, but both things are true, right? So, I'm not saying we did. I'm not saying they should take away our 4th place. I'm just
I know what you.
I mean, honestly, I know people, it's ifs and buts, and I usually argue, but I mean, if Newcastle lost to Arsenal, which they easily could have done, had nothing to do with how we played, we don't get fourth, right? That's the only point that I'll make. But if we won our games, I agree, we scraped it. That's why I say we scraped it, not to be like, take it away from us, we shouldn't be in Champions League, but just to point out, like, there's thin margins for us last year, so we need to make sure that we don't have those same thin margins this year, right? That's what we're trying to do. Take away that.
Guys, I'm going to get into. I'll interrupt him again.
Guys, I'm going to move on from this. Just quickly before we do, please, there are 174 of you in the stream. Only 95 likes. Please, could you make a conscious effort to quickly go and like? I'm happy to say that we've also got Tyson Fury in the chat, who was in the chat the other night, and it wouldn't be a chat with Fury if Anthony Joshua wasn't in the chat as well. They are both here saying that they should knock each other out, and it's all good fun. I'd rather those fake accounts than ones about me. The next question we have got, gentlemen, is, so this was from earlier in the show. Let me bring some context back to this. So earlier in the show, when we said about young players and the level that they were going out on loan at, i.e. Parrott going to Preston, this is normally the response. Hello, Jeff. Normally the response is, what about Kane? He went to lots of clubs before he got into the first team at Spurs. I don't know what you guys think. I'll start with you, Graham. Yeah. For me, I feel that whenever a young player comes through, we liken them to someone who is sublime. So Sessegnon for years has been, well, what about Bale? And Parrott is, what about Kane? These are anomalies, aren't they? Kanes and Bales don't come around.
Yeah, Kane was a great exception, wasn't he? I mean, how many teams did he go on loan to?
A lot.
Leicester, Millwall, the Orient.
Norwich.
He didn't really score loads of goals at any of those, did he? It was only the fact that Tim Sherwood gave him a run, thanks to Soldado, that he actually got in. It's an amazing story. I don't think you'll get many more stories like that. Parrott's got to find that level at some point. I know he was dreadful at Millwall, according to some of my Millwall friends. They didn't like him at all. He did okay at MK Dons last year, didn't he? It's a test this year at Preston, whether he does it or not. The Preston manager is the guy who was at Plymouth, who did a great job down there. Lowe, I think his name is.
Oh, Ryan Lowe.
Ryan Lowe. Now, if Ryan Lowe can't get the best out of Parrott, nobody can. We still won't know how good this guy is, will we? I don't know. Scarlett's down at Pompey. He hasn't played that much so far and had a couple of games. They need to hit the ground running at some stage, don't they? I mean, how long do you keep Parrott on board? How long do you keep putting him out for a year's loan? I don't know. Before you actually say, look, we've tried him, but he hasn't done it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kuva, what's your thought on that? I mean, because everyone does automatically just get linked to these worldies. The same way that every right wing back we've got is apparently going to be the next Victor Moses, who didn't even have that great a season. I'm just saying. Right. What do you make of this in terms of players like Parrott going out to Ipswich Town? What has he? Let's use Parrott as an example. What's he got to do for you out on loan this season at Preston to suggest that he is part of our squad next year that is hopefully still a Champions League squad?
Perform. Simple as that. Score goals. Look like he's a team player. Looks like he can fit in for the system that Conte wants him to play.
Yeah.
Just play well. Improve. That's simple as that. I mean, what else can you expect from a young player like that? They just got to show that they're learning, they're improving with each game. Mistakes that they were making, they're not repeating them, and they're showing a bit of character in games. Sometimes when it's difficult, get through the sticky patches and banging a goal at the end, because at the end of the day, that's what they're going to want him for. I think the goal metric is a good one for Parrott, because that's what you do with strikers. Even the likes of Alan Shearer started off slowly, very slowly at Southampton. And you just saw he was improving. It looked easier for him to score towards the end of his stay at Southampton. That's when he started picking up. So that's big up, Ellie. So that's it. It's just as simple as get on with your game and look to improve yourself, look to fit in with the team around you, and look to make things happen in that opponent's penalty area, because that's what it's all about for him. It is goals, goal involvements.
Yeah. It's also important for him to play regular games week in, week out, and not just come in and out and not play for a while. And hopefully he'll get regular games at Preston. So he can only, if he's got it in him, it's going to come out this year, isn't it? I would have thought at Preston. If he doesn't do any good at Preston, I don't know where he goes from there.
Yeah. I mean,
there was a Cam Hong there saying 15 goals at least. That would be a really good season, I think.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, Savva, which something you just said sort of made me chuckle a little bit. Not the way you said it or anything, but talking to Bale, I remember being at Man City in the season he broke through, and all the Tottenham fans were screaming for him not to play for us again.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about world-class players. He was one that was not looking like he was going to do anything for us. And then
true.
But
people were saying he's a left back. Do you remember people saying he's a left back? He can't play forward. He's got to play at left back.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that's what's going to happen with Sessegnon, because, you know, it looks the same. You know, he's not having a great start. Other than that game was a good, game. I do admit that. But hopefully he's
just the 4 years of looking the same. Just the 4 years.
Yeah.
Club legend Paul Stewart as well, who's one of our greatest ever players of all time, according to a few people. He started off as a striker for us, and he was pretty bloody average. Dropped back to midfield. Wasn't expected. Suddenly he started turning it on. He was really doing well for us there. It doesn't always go to plan, but if you've got enough about you, you can adapt to it. Perhaps you do end up in a new position. Perhaps you just try something different, not part of your normal game, and it can just suddenly click.
Yeah. Some players take time. You know, I mean, we look at Kane. You know, a lot of people were saying that he was going to come good, and it took him a long time to come, and then all of a sudden he just exploded.
Don't you feel? I'll bring you in here, Scott. Don't you feel the difference now is when Kane broke in, we weren't a Champions League club that were going places. Now I feel it's tougher than ever if anyone wants to break in. Now all of a sudden, a Parrott is going to have to get in above a Kulusevski, a Son, a Kane, a Richarlison, and it just makes it just that little more difficult, doesn't it, for them to?
Yeah, I think one of the things that people talk about with Kane, the best thing that happened to him is that the strikers we had were crap. So he kind of got forced into getting a lot more chances, though. And I think when you say like, oh, what about Kane? I mean, sure, it's possible, right? But people often forget the 100 other guys that had the exact same situation as Kane and didn't make it out, right? Like the big one, taking it out of sports, like I think Bill Gates dropped out of university, right? And now he's the richest man in the world. I don't think that if I was telling my kid or any of your kids, hey, don't go to university because Bill Gates dropped out, that's really good life advice, right? Like we have to be careful with these exceptions. And I understand why people like to use them, right? Because we all want to hope that Troy Parrott, I mean, if you told me Troy Parrott was going to be Harry Kane, I would have a lot less concerns about our future going forward. So I understand why. But I mean, we have to be realistic about it. And one of the concerns too about Troy Parrott is if when you're talking about a young player and what they could turn out to be, and you're kind of go to he could be Harry Kane, like he could have that same trajectory as Harry Kane, and you're not talking about their actual skill set or production or what they have, that's a little bit concerning, right? It's not like he could be like Harry Kane because he does this like Harry Kane, right? It's not really like he has the same skill set, or he could be like Harry Kane because he whatever, I can't, or somebody had an injury, or it could be like Gareth Bale because Gareth Bale was a left back, but then he moved forward and had more success when he moved his position, right? It's just Harry Kane had success after struggling a little bit, so Troy Parrott can have success, and there's no link to it. There's no reason to think that other than hope. And that's what does concern me, because if you do look at Troy Parrott's numbers last year in League One, they're a little bit concerning that he couldn't get double digits, right? Doesn't mean that he's a write-off, but it's concerning.
I mean,
absolutely. Also, if you go out on loan, you want to join the decent side as well, don't you?
I think it's difficult because when a young player goes out on loan, right, are they going to a free-flowing team? Like if you're going out on loan to, I mean, I don't know who the championship favourites are at the moment. If you're going out on loan to Burnley, for example, who will probably be right up there with Company as manager, you're probably going to get a lot of goals.
He's going to get lots of chances, isn't he?
If you go to Preston, I don't know. I don't follow Preston enough. No. What's their expectations for the season? Are they a team that play attractive attacking football? Are they a team that sit? You know what I mean? There's lots of different denominators that come into that. Soren, I want to move on from this chat, and I want to go to you. Just before I do though, big up to Tyson Fury, who apparently I'm his boy and has given a super chat at £2. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. And good luck on your retirement. I think I saw that today on Sky Sports that you've announced your
second.
Is this your fifth retirement in about 10 years or something? But I'm sure once AJ or someone starts goading you back, you'll be back in that ring. But big up to you. Yeah. Soren, let me start with you on this. Jeff has come back and said, as much as I don't like leaving ENIC, how can we be sure that anyone buying the club from them will be any better? I mean, what an open-ended question that is. Soren, take it away, my man. As a neutral, you're not a Levy in or out, are you?
I'm not a Levy out. Now, if that makes me a Levy in, then I'm not.
No.
Look, I look at the club in a couple of ways. That doesn't matter what we think to Levy. There's two sides to him. There's the business side. He has built our club into one of the richest clubs in the world. We have the best stadium. We have the best training facilities. We have the best of a lot of things. We haven't got the best team on the pitch. And I get that. And I get that's where Levy's failings are. Now, how do we know? I mean, I don't... Look, there's two ways to look at it. Do we want some rich sheikh to come in and suddenly start chucking all his money, or an oligarch chucking all the money in, and we suddenly start winning things next season? Yeah, we all want to win the Premiership. If that's the way we win it, brilliant. But I don't want to look back on it and say, well, we won it because we suddenly had the richest person in charge of us. And I know that's what football's about, but I can't...
But do we not? Soren, let me ask you then. That's a really good point. I sit here as a football fan right now, right? And I know I'll get pelters for this because they'll go, oh, you just go and support Man City. But if Man City's owners took over Spurs tonight, and in the next 2 years we were champions of the Premier League, winning cups left, right and centre, watching players like De Bruyne and Haaland, not one bit of me, not 1 ounce of me gives a monkeys that we've paid for that. That's just me.
And that's exactly what I won't say 90% of the City fans are. You know, the City fans, the United fans, the Liverpool fans, a lot of them, I can't say most, are these young kids and teenagers that have suddenly come when they're winning things and they've decided to support the winning team. Now, most of us on here will say, you know, we've supported Spurs for a long time and we didn't pick Spurs because they were the best team in the league or anything. You know, we obviously drew the short straw, and it was like, yeah, you sods have been really bad in a previous life. You're going to be Tottenham fans.
Well, Kuva got called entitled for wanting to win a trophy. Entitled, Kuva.
Look,
How dare you?
The thing is...
No, to be fair, the argument was entitled for demanding it.
Yeah. Oh, for demanding.
Yeah. I mean, none of us would not want a rich person to come in and buy us success. We'd all love that. You know, we deserve that. If that's the right word, we've earned that. Whatever you want to say, it would be brilliant. But I think personally, I would rather us win the league in a Leicester style than a Man City style, where... Look at Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea have kind of come out of it all right by the look of it, but all of a sudden Abramovich's money is gone. That could have, you know, they were nearly out of the league and everything. I would prefer to do it the right way than the wrong way, but I would love it if we did it the wrong way.
Right. There's my link. I'm always looking for links. Kuva, talk to me about this. I hear this all the time. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. Is there? Because if the right way is how Spurs have acted for the last 22 years under Daniel Levy, charging the fans the earth, buying loads and loads of volume of poor players, is this the right way? And is that way the wrong way that City and Chelsea have adopted?
again, it goes back to, are we an elite sports team or not? Elite level sports team. If we are, then it's all about winning no matter what. Anything that gets you over that line. So you pick up the silverware. Now, if we're not, you can start talking about doing things the right way and get hopeful. Hope to do a Leicester. But for us, we should be beyond that. We should be at all times. It's about getting that top level. It doesn't matter if Man City have got more money than you. We're still up at a level that gives us a considerable advantage over most clubs around us. Considerable. Yet we don't use it. Season after season, we don't even get to a position where we're going to win it. And for me, that is just unforgivable. You can't just sit there bragging about, oh, we're worth $4.5 billion, or we're making all this money, we've got all this revenue, we're the 10th largest club in the world in terms of the revenue coming in. It doesn't fit together. So for me, Levy's failing us, and I don't care where it comes from. I don't care whether it's a rich benefactor or whether we get lucky and getting a manager that manages to get the pieces to fit together in the correct way. That happened with Ranieri, which Ranieri didn't do it by himself, because Leicester's success was built upon the end of the season before that with Nigel Pearson. He managed to create something about Leicester where they were a nightmare to play in the last 3 months. It kept them in the division. We couldn't beat them. United couldn't beat them. Liverpool lost to them as well in those closing few months. They were an absolute nightmare. They carried it forward into the next season, brought in Mahrez, and then the fireworks happened.
But
why can't we?
The difference between that is not one single fan around the country or the world will turn around to Leicester and say, you bought that trophy. You know, everybody, we all sit here and say City have bought the winnings and things like that, and it's never quite as sweet as Leicester winning it. And, you know, a typical thing, you know, we can say a lot of things. I mean, look at the cycling side. Armstrong was winning Tour de France's, and all of a sudden he was doping. It wasn't quite as sweet as what it was when it happened. And that's what I mean by doing it a right way and a wrong way. I don't, you know, look, if we bought our way to success tomorrow, I'm not going to say I don't want it. You know, it's yes, bring it on. But what I'm saying is, for me personally, it would be more sweeter to have earned it rather than bought it.
I agree. Do it as the underdog. Sorry, go on. Do it as the underdog, sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on. Will the Leicester way ever happen again?
Why not? Blackburn did it, then Leicester did it, so why not?
Because Blackburn pumped in at the time a load of money.
Started all this nonsense.
They weren't expected to do it. But what I mean by that is that, look, City and Liverpool have already dropped points this year. City could start to drop points this year. We don't know. Somebody else could, you know, maybe we will win it. And then we would be underdogs winning it. So, yes.
Let's be honest, Soren.
But are we actually underdogs? Just like,
well, no,
we're the biggest. I'm just.
Yeah,
like,
we are. Biggest. No, we are underdog. We are not expected to win the league.
But I just mean like from a financial aspect. Like I know
we're not
a lot of us say, oh, we don't want to buy the title. But I mean, we're one of the biggest, richest clubs in the world. So I guess we might not be quite buying it as much as City, but we're also not bringing through all our youth players and right. I mean,
that's the thing, you know. I mean, we've got people in the chat now saying that we should be, you know, earlier on, we should be bringing in all these top world-class players. Well, if we promote our youth team, they're not going to be happy because they're not they're not worth £100 million. They're youth players. We can't. You can't.
For me,
you could also point up the accusing finger and saying, why isn't our academy bringing forward these players that can go straight into the first team because they're at that level?
I agree with you, Kuba. Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole other debate. I mean, the thing for me, guys, is I look at this and go, right.
Can I just say one thing, Savva?
Go on.
I mean, I'm going to do what you did earlier. This person called Stuart Austin, I don't know who he is. He's obviously some little 12-year-old kid, I would assume. So if he wants to come on, Tottenham are not the biggest club in London. I am Spurs through and through. We are not Chelsea have been the biggest club in London for the past however many years. So, justify saying we are the biggest club in London when we've won nothing, and I don't know what else to say. Come on and have a chat with us.
If you want to come on. If not, put your thing in the chat. I mean, guys, the thing for me is I feel like when we use the term the right way, I feel like everyone who wins at football is chucking money at it in one way or another. Now, here's what I'll say to that. If we're winning it the right way, we're winning it because we've built a stadium that's bringing in the money to bring in the players. So is getting a £1 billion bank loan the right way? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? Is that the right way? Because what City have done is just bypassed that and gone, don't need the £1 billion stadium. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll buy those, what are those, the human beings with two legs that play on the pitch? We'll do that. Whereas Spurs, what our owners have done is go, obviously this is my opinion, right? Sorry, I'm not copywriting this sort of thing, but what our owners have done is gone, we're going to build infrastructure, and when we sell this club, we're going to become even more billionaires than we already are. Doesn't matter what happens on the pitch in the meantime. Man City's owners, are filthy stinking rich, but care about winning. Now that for me, this is why I don't feel like when people say the right way, we're talking like we don't ever spend money. We do. We're talking like we haven't spent. I mean, how much have we spent on the training ground, the stadium, and all? I mean, what, 1.5 billion maybe? Is that doing? I'm just playing devil's advocate, guys. I mean, Scott, let me bring you in here. Is that the right way? Just because we spent our money somewhere else that wasn't even our money?
Yeah, I mean, I understand when people talk about the right way with City, it with the oil money. I'll say straight up, I might not be the best person to ask about it because I don't have an issue with it. I mean, personally, I've worked in Dubai, I've worked in the Middle East, so maybe I have to take myself out of it because theoretically that's hypocritical. If I'm going over there and making money there and helping them make money, maybe that makes me. But I don't have a problem with the oil money, and it's because I would prefer it, I guess, ideally. But I think we're gone long beyond it. I also think that like ENIC isn't exactly beyond like a morally superior club because I don't know 100%, but I know Aaron was talking the other day about how they're trying to force out some low or affordable housing in the Tottenham area. They're trying to prevent it from happening so that they can build the more high expensive condos and stuff like that. That's not exactly what I think we want our club to do, right? It's not like bringing in a journalist and murdering him, but if you're pushing people out of affordable housing in your area, that's a pretty reprehensible thing to do. So that's why I think we need to be. I think when you're talking about billionaires and the amount of money that football is, it's hard. It's hard to say that anybody is really doing it the right way or anybody is.
Look, I don't know I'm not professing to be an expert in this, but isn't there something about what Joe Lewis does without paying tax and Cayman Island? And look, listen, I'm not saying it's tit for tat. I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong, but I do feel that we get on this moral high ground a lot, don't win anything and have nothing to show for it, but are also spending a lot of money, but just not on a football pitch. Listen, it's just a.
Yeah. See how much money from that stadium is going to go back into the football? I think that's the crunch question at the end of it. How much money ENIC will make out of that stadium? How much of that is going to be directed back into the football?
Probably none. But I mean, the thing you've got to look at is,
sorry. When Daniel Levy and Lewis, when Lewis and Levy sell this football club, right? What would they have gone from and what would they have gone to? I.e., like when I bought this house for X amount, I'm selling it for that and I've made this profit. Essentially, that's what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Can we all need to be really, really honest here.
The big difference is with that is they've bought a club for, I can't remember how much it was. Was it 15, 20 million, something like that?
21 million or something.
And they've made it into a multi-billion pound conglomerate, whatever we want to call it. You know, again, we go back. We've got the best stadium. We've got the best training facilities. We've got this. We've got that. Yes, we should be winning trophies, and I get that. They will leave our club. If they left tomorrow, they have done what any stewardship should do of a club. They have left us in a better position than when they bought it. Now, the team as a business, as a solid business. Now, the team isn't probably any better. And that's where us fans are that's where we want to see the biggest developments is on the pitch. You know, that winning 3 points every game. We want to see silverware. But we've also got to be very careful in thinking if it's not right behind the scenes, it can never be right for long term in front of the team.
True. But Soren, let me ask you this question. If Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis sell the club this year, now, right? As a football fan, let's bring this back to what we all are, right? First and foremost, you, Graham, me, Kuva, Scott, everyone in the chat, we're not, for football terms, we're not business people. We don't go and watch on a Saturday because we give a crap about spreadsheets, profit and loss, infrastructure, and money, right? We're going to watch our beloved Tottenham Hotspur play football. My point is, if they were to sell that now and we all sat around a table and looked back and went, they've been here 22 years. What is their legacy for me and for you as a fan?
Yeah,
the legacy is one League Cup, and they've left us with a lovely, shiny stadium to host events. That essentially would have been a quarter of a century of their legacy for me. I don't know what you think, and then I'll bring Graham in. What do you make of that, Soren? Is that wrong?
No, and this is where the moral type thing, or whatever you want to call it, is the problem. That if we look at it as a pure fan and say, what have ENIC achieved over the last 25 years? Yeah, you know, it's shit, innit? If we look at it as a full business thing, then no, Champions League isn't a legacy. You know, and it's a bit like the guy who said
this is what I don't get.
We've done what I don't get.
How is qualifying for the Champions League legacy? It's still fourth place.
Yeah. And going back to Stuart, who's just put another stupid comment in, if you think ENIC have done what Mike Ashley did to Newcastle, then you are seriously deluded. Look, as football fans, we all have every single right to be disappointed on the pitch. I cannot argue against that. As a business and as a strategy of making sure our club is solid to the foundation, they have not failed. I don't, somebody show me how they failed on the pitch. Fully agree. Cannot argue against it. You know, we should have knocked on when Pochettino was in charge. We didn't. And I get that. And I get how everybody goes on about ENIC out. And I can't argue against it other than saying, look behind the scenes as well as in front of the scenes. But I am going to have to go now, Savva, because the wife's come home and it's tea time, and I'll get
no worries. Listen, we're only going to go for another 5 minutes anyway. So
to drink.
I've got to think something to get me through this season, haven't I? So, but yeah, thanks very much for letting us on. Big up to Scott.
Always, Soren. Always, you're a good man.
Yeah.
Graham, guys, we're going to go for 5 more minutes if you're cool with that. Graham, let me ask you then. So, listen, I get Soren's point. It's not my viewpoint. I get it. Yes, there's Champions League football. Yes, this is all hypothetical, right? If they left us now, yes, they would have left us with this wonderful stadium, this infrastructure, and a balance sheet. Essentially, Graham, as a football fan, what memories have they left us with?
Well, we're not winning anything, really. I mean, one in 22 years is poor, isn't it? But different supporters look at it different ways. I mean, I spoke to my friend the other week, and when I said we've only won one in 22 years, it was, so what? He went, so what? Look, it's not all about that. Now, I think as a football supporter, it is about that. It's lovely to have this great stadium, great training ground, fantastic. But the big piece of puzzle that's missing is the lack of success on the field, the lack of winning trophies. And that's my view of looking at it. Look at Chelsea. I mean, something about Chelsea, us being a bigger club than Chelsea. But They've won so many things, haven't they, over the years, Chelsea?
And they were winning. And I tell you where this is born from, right? What Graham. So when Graham come to mind earlier, I showed him. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The video that went round of Jason Koundé and Jamie O'Hara having a chat about Jason Koundé. Look, listen, and again, before everyone in the chat will say, "Oh, Jason Koundé, he's a prick," blah blah blah. Yes, but separate your emotion for the man and look at the debate that's in place. He was spot on. Spurs fans are hilarious because we are always gassing up how great we are, how bad everyone else is. At the same time, all these other teams are winning and we don't. And he said, if you were an alien and you came down and looked at it and everyone said, oh my God, Spurs this, Spurs that, you'd look at it and go, well, you've won 2 trophies in 30 years. So look, it's a tough one. I mean, Scott, where do you sit with this? If they were to go today, would you look back on their time as a football success or a business success?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a football success. There's no argument for it. And that's why nobody tries to make it. And that's why you get comments like Peter saying, when we win the league, the last 10 years won't matter. When. It's always when and if. When. Now it's going to happen. Just give them time. Again, patience, as we talk about all the time, right?
Can I ask them, Peter? Sorry, just quickly, Scott. Peter, do me a favour. In the messages, can you give me a prediction then? What year will we win the league? Because if we won the league in 2050, then the last 10 years won't matter. But what about the 40 years previous to that? So, sorry, Scott.
No, but I'm glad he put it in because it's one of the things that drives me nuts, right? It's when we win the league, then Levy will be justified. When we do this, like, we're supposed to just accept all the the argument is like, yeah, Levy's been crappy, but we're going to do good. Like, that's a terrible argument to me, right? And it's what you hear so many times. Oh, if this happens, oh, maybe, oh, now we're set up, right? Now we have the stadium. Now we're set up. Now COVID's over. Now we're set up. Now we have it's always just wait. And it's been 21 years. I mean, earlier he said Champions League. Now we have Champions League. Well, I just went back and looked. In the 80s, I think we had, now we never had Champions League before this, is what Peter said, or someone said. In the 80s, we had 5 times we finished top 4. So we would have had Champions League, right? In those times, if it was the same setup as it is now. In the 60s, we won the league and had multiple top 4 finishes. It's because, and maybe it's because I didn't start following in the 90s, but I really think that 10 year in the 90s where we didn't have those top finishes has now skewed everybody so much, right? And they looked so much to it. And it's like, oh, well, we didn't finish top 4 in those 10 years. So we're a tiny little club. It's amazing how much sometimes people want to make Spurs out like we're a small club that Daniel Levy has somehow elevated to the heights of the Premier League. I mean, no matter what you want to say about us, we have the history behind us, based in London, a big club based in London, right? We're not one of the smaller clubs in London. We're a big club. No, whether we're the biggest or not, I'm not going to get into it. But we're an undeniable big club based on our history, based on our fan base, based on where we're located. So when people say, he brought us to Champions League, well, we were at those levels before. We've done it. We have a history. People always want to ignore it. We have a history, as Graham, I imagine, well knows, Kuva as well. And you Savva, younger, but you probably have seen it too. So we keep hearing about this when it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, Levy brought us here. And then
it's happening now. It's happening this season, according to Peter. This season.
This season.
This is why, Peter, no offense, this is why other fan bases laugh at us. Because it's okay to say, okay, we could finish 3rd above Chelsea. But do you, in our heart of hearts, anyone really see us beating Man City to the league title? Please, really?
Of course we are.
Just quickly as well, aside from Peter's comment, I love the optimism, but it's just not real. Paul, listen, I love comments like this when they're very wrong. So when you said Chelsea only started winning after they got the blood money, Wikipedia is an amazing thing where you can just type in, like I have, Chelsea Football Club, and go to their honours list.
Pretty sure I can reel off 3 already.
Right.
Wasn't it Cup Winners' Cup, FA Cup and League Cup?
Right. So in the immediate 10 years before their owners took over, so Abramovich bought them in 2003. If I look, Chelsea won the FA Cup in 97 and in 2000. So that's 2 trophies in the immediate 10 years in the FA Cup. They won the League Cup in 98. So that's 3 trophies in the immediate 10 years before they came in. They won the Community Shield. They won the UEFA Super Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup. So in the 10 years before Chelsea's owners came in, they won 5 trophies. So yes, they went on to unparalleled success in the league, but to say they weren't winning anything before Abramovich turned up is factually incorrect, right? This is a fallacy. This is
like this of the likes of Dan Petrescu and players like that, wasn't it? And Zola and
Right. So I feel like we say these things, we say these things to make ourselves feel better, but it's not actually the truth, is it? Do you know what I mean? And look, guys, we're going to wrap up in a minute. My last question to all of you is going to be this. On a serious note, please, on a serious note with this question as well. Realistically, with where City are with their squad, and the fact that their squad is so young as well, when you look at their front three of Haaland, Foden, Alvarez, Grealish, the likes of Diaz and Laporte are not old. And how long do you think it will be until Tottenham win a league? I'll start with you, Kuva.
Depends how long we can keep Conte. I think if we're going to win a league in my lifetime, it's within these next few years under this manager. I think it's the only chance we got. I'll keep saying it as well. Why does it have to be unmanageable that we can actually achieve this with this manager? If we can get to this position where we are within touching distance, we are going to need a slice of luck to overturn the likes of City and Liverpool at the moment. Yeah, okay, it can be a huge slice of luck, but let's at least get ourselves in the running. And for me, that's all about trying to get to 90 points, see what happens. Leicester turned around a much bigger difference than we're trying to overturn. So
they did, but the thing is, when people talk about the Leicester season, Leicester did it in a season where there wasn't City and Chelsea. There wasn't City and Liverpool with the squads that they've got.
But you only have to look back a couple of seasons. What happened to Liverpool? Bad injury crisis. They dropped down to 69 points or something. These things can happen.
They can. I mean, Graham, let me bring you in here. Maybe I am seriously wrong and I've missed something that's happened at Tottenham. I've just seen a team that scraped 4th place, have had a decent window, but, finished 20 odd points off the top. We've got Peter Simon saying, seriously, mark my words, with Conte really, really soon. Michael Chon is saying if City and Liverpool are more focused on the Champions League and have a couple of injuries, Spurs have a shot. When do Man City and Liverpool only focus on the Champions League and not the Premier League? What have I missed?
The big thing with City and Liverpool is they're so consistent. It's that consistency that we've not had. I'm not saying it won't happen, but a tremendous consistency, both of them. They hardly ever lose, do they? They go long spells, 15, 20 games sometimes without losing. And that's what we've got to get into our game. That's a big ask. It's a big ask. And the other thing for me is, again, it comes back to Kane and Son, how many games we keep them fit. Because without their goal input, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? I can't see Richarlison coming in and scoring the goals that they do. A lot depends for me on Kane and Son, how many games they keep fit for. And consistency. They're the 2 things for me.
But have we done enough? I keep hearing this, that for some reason Liverpool fell off a cliff overnight and they've only lost Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
Man City, if they take their eye off the ball, when does Pep Guardiola ever let his team take their eye off the ball? Since he's been here, I don't understand. Sorry, Scott, I don't get it.
No, I was going to make that point. I might have missed Peter, but is his justification is mark my words? Does he have a reason, or is it just we're just supposed to take his word for it that we're winning? That's the kind of like I love when Kuba says, when he says we're going to win the quad, and I hear him say it, but I know why he says it, right? Because he wants to have that belief, and that's awesome. But I think if we put some truth serum in him, he's not going to say that he thinks we're a better team than City. But fair enough. But when you hear
it's like this, Scott. It's like this comment from Michael. Like, so if City have injuries and their depth is affected, managers have to pick and choose the competition. Have you seen Man City's squad?
Why? But I don't get that. Same, like he said, if they take their eye off the prize. When have they ever shown that they're going to do that? They have successfully shown the last 3, maybe 4 seasons. Both City and Liverpool have shown that they can compete at Champions League, in all the cups and the league without taking their eyes off the prize. They've repeatedly done it.
Yeah,
so
look
why
at
are
the
we going
quality
to
of those.
assume that now they can't?
Look at the quality of those cast-offs down at the library now.
What do you mean? Sorry.
The quality of the cast-offs down at the library. You know, the Emirates, Zinchenko, and the likes of. I mean, these are players that are this players that are not even considered good enough to be there in their reserve team, and yet there's another top six.
Oh, I see where you're coming at it from. Look, the way I see it is this, right? Man City are just formidable. Now we can look into how they got there. All of this nonsense. Let's forget that and let's look at football. Man City have a formidable force that they've just added one of the best strikers in world football to. They've also added another striker in Alvarez, right? They've added Phillips to replace Fernandinho as a backup to Rodri, and yet, for me, I need to see something happen for me to go, this was then, this is now, and I don't see what has happened for City were there, and all of a sudden Spurs are. What has happened? I just don't. Sorry.
How about winning at Stamford Bridge? That'll be a start.
It would be a good start. It would be a lovely start. But I just don't. Sorry, I'm baffled. I'm baffled by these people because these are the people that will call me negative and spread that I'm negative. But there's positivity, there's optimism, but there's got to be. I think, Scott, you're probably on the same page as me as this. There's got to be rhyme or reason as to why. It can't just be, suddenly City are going to lose their 5 best players and they can't win a game of football.
Yeah, I mean, you can. Again, like, if you want to say, I think we're going to win the league because I have hope. That's fine. But say that it's because you have hope. You know what, then you're at least saying it's not really based on facts. It's based on, that's what I want to do. I want to have that hope. I have no problem with anybody who has that view. It's when, like you said, people come in here and say, we're going to beat City, and they're thinking that they're doing it based on like facts or it's like a well-reasoned out argument like that. Again, City has had the last 5 years where they have like 98, 99, 100. They dropped down to 86, which is our best point total ever, right? And then that was their bad season. They've added a player who I don't think anybody would be surprised if in 3 years he was the best player in the world, who's playing with KDB right now, who might be who might be the best player in the world. And yet we're saying that we are going to it's not negative to say that's going to be tough to beat. I mean, Liverpool has had arguably one of the greatest Premier League runs in the last 4 years, right? And they beat them once. They're one of the greatest teams, I would say. Liverpool, if you look what they've done, I mean, the point totals they've put up is great. The Champions League success they've had is great. And they still can't match them. But we're saying Spurs are going to match them. And if we don't agree with that, we're negative. That's what drives me nuts.
Well, listen, we're going to end the show. And the last
one very quick thing, just to add, as a counter to that is it unreasonable to expect us to massively improve from last season? For me, it is. No. Is it unreasonable to say that it's possible City and Liverpool can slip up? I don't think that's unreasonable either.
Oh, I do. For what reason?
I don't know reason. There's variables. That's what I mean. Get in the running, see what happens.
Both those things can happen and we still might not pass them, right? But we can improve and they can drop off. Yeah. That's what I would say. That's one of my things when I'll say, sorry to keep it going, but I think that we will be a better team this year than last year, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough to make a big difference in the gap between us and Liverpool.
Guys, I have to go because my dogs are going to go nuts. My front door is about to go. By the way, Peter, no one's doubting Conte. Use your ears. Much love. Thank you very much.
Bye.
See you all later. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.